Dear all, thank you for attending this session. I am Ankur Kataria. I'll be moderating today's webinar conducted by the Committee on Financial Markets and Investor Protection, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, on how to generate long-term wealth using Techno Funda, building fundamental screeners, and identifying hidden gems of the market. Firstly, I would like to introduce CA Charanjot Singh Nanda sir for the opening remarks. CA Charanjot Singh Nanda sir is the current Central Council member of the ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He was the member of the Central Council member of the ICAI from 2004 to 2016 and then in 2019 to 2022. Currently, he is the chairman of the Digital Accounting and Assurance Board ICAI, Committee on the Financial Markets and Investor Protections ICAI, and Committee on Information Technology of South Asian Federation of Accountants SAFA. He was the chairman of the committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the following committees: Internal Audit Standard Board of ICI, Committee on Financial Accounting, Committee on Management Accounting, Committee of our members in industry, Continuing Professional Education Committee, Public Relations Committee, and many more. He was also the member of the Quality Review Board set up by the Government of India, member of the SEBI Advisory Committee on Primary Market from 2007 to 2010, and Committee on Mutual Funds from 2007 to 2010, and represented ICAI on SEBI Committee on Disclosure and Accounting Standards. So now over to you, Nanda sir, for your thoughtful insights.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry the noise would be there. I'm on Calcutta airport waiting to come to Delhi. So my salutation to both the speakers, Ghanshyam Joshi ji, Suraj Makhija, my younger brother C. Ankur Kataria as the moderator of this session. We have C.S. Samandip, Mr. Gaver from the board, Ayaz from the technical team, and all who have come here to go home more enlightened. Ladies and gentlemen, the markets are at top gear. So are we. We all feel that investment is a very simple game. You can invest and make money. You need no technicals, no fundamentals, no screeners. You do not find any hidden gems. Whatever you have, you buy it, that goes up. But how long? If market was a person, it would say, क्या यूं ही चंद लम्हों में पढ़ लोगे मुझे? क्या यूं ही चंद लम्हों में पढ़ लोगे मुझे? मैंने खुद को लिखने में बरसों लगाए हैं. Market is with people who understand market. Market is with people who understand the risk initiative in it. Undoubtedly, the market is on a bull run. But when the deep cracks comes, it kills, evades your capital. So for that, we have identified two of the very great speakers whom I have always admired, Mr. Joshi and Mr. Makhija. They will take you through the entire thesis of how you should invest, how to create value and worth by investments in the market. Not speaking much, I'm in the airport. I would give the dice back to Ankur Kataria for further proceeding. Ankur, the dice is all yours now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Thank you so much, sir. So now I would like to introduce our first speaker for today's session, CA Suraj Makhija, sir. CA Suraj Makhija, sir, is a chartered accountant, MBA by qualification, and also the member of the CFA Institute, USA. He has 19 years of experience with expertise in portfolio management and equity research. He is passionate about reading books on behavioral finance and believes that disciplined investing with a proper framework can lead to sustained inflation beating returns over a period of time. So now over to you, Suraj sir, all yours.
Okay, thank you, Ankur, for your time. I have been taking lectures on fundamental analysis and technical analysis. Not much on technical analysis because that's not my domain of expertise, but fundamental analysis with various institutes like Sher Khan and all. But I always felt I am a CA first, so I need to give it back to the society in some way. And this is one step towards that. So this is my first engagement with the CA Institute. So thank you, Nandaji, and thank you everyone for giving me this.
You are welcome. You are welcome, Makhija ji. Great to have you on board. We'll do a lot of programs together. Thank you. Thank you, Ghanshyam ji, for introducing him. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I currently work with a mutual fund as a portfolio manager. So, managing money for HNIs, super HNIs, and family offices. I have experience managing money across insurance companies and mutual funds. So, that is my domain of expertise, fundamental analysis. I'm not gonna complicate things much in terms of what exactly technical analysis is, or how do we try to draw line charts or anything of that sort. I will try to keep it as much interactive as I can. I have a brief presentation which I will take you through. But before I start, I just wanted to understand from you as well, Ankur. If I have any questions, or if I want to interact with the audience, it will be through you, right? They
Yes,
can't
sir.
come and speak on
Yes,
the.
sir. I'll get the questions to you over the question and answers portal.
Okay, okay,
I'll and then I can ask you and you can answer it
fair enough.
accordingly, right?
ठीक है, ठीक
Yes,
है,
sir.
ठीक है.
So
Okay,
we can take the question and answer session after your session.
fair
We
enough,
can
fair
take
enough.
that
But if I want
consolidatedly.
to, I mean, just want to check whether they have understood something or not during
Uh,
the session, can I
yeah,
ask them on the chat, and can they
yeah,
put it
yeah.
in the chat?
You just give me the heads up and I'll check the question and answer portal in case if there is any questions related to that topic or related to anything.
Hmm.
So I'll ask you directly. Yeah.
Fair enough. ठीक है, चलिए,
Yeah.
let's start.
Just give me a heads up before that
Sure,
and I'll
sure,
check the portal.
sure, sure. Okay. Is the screen visible, Ankur?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
It's visible.
thanks. Okay, again, as we start with the Techno Funda part, we need to split it up into two parts. The first part is the fundamental part, and the second part we will look at is the technical part. Now, everyone knows where the markets are and how the markets are headed. But everything is not just based on valuation. A lot of market sentiment comes in, a lot of noise comes in terms of liquidity, news, any corporate M&As, and these kind of situations. So in that kind of situation, sometimes fundamental analysis takes a backseat. So, how do we define fundamental analysis? I mean, if I go by a
Yeah,
very
sorry to interrupt you, sir, but can you make the slide presentation into a slide mode? So it
okay,
will be a better presentable over
okay,
the screen.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
ठीक है?
It's better. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
better. It's
Okay.
clearly visible.
Yeah. So I just try to look at how people define fundamental analysis, more of a textbook definition. So it's more of a holistic approach to study a business. It's a long-term way at which people look at a stock. They look at it more from a perspective of the fact that you are investing in a business where you are a part owner in the business. You are a minority owner in the business. So you have as much stake in the business or running the business as much as the owner is. So this is the reason why we need to look at a fundamental analysis job, not just from a quantitative perspective, but from a qualitative perspective as well. So you measure the intrinsic value of the company. That is the basis of fundamental analysis. So there are various methods through which you measure the intrinsic value. The most common methods that we can look at are discounted cash flow, relative valuation, a residual method. So these are some methods on basis of which you measure the intrinsic value of a company. Now you compare that intrinsic value of a company with the value or the current market price of a stock. And if it is undervalued, if the intrinsic value is higher than the current market price, you go and buy the stock. If the intrinsic value is lower than the current market price, then you sell the stock. So that's the very basic at which you kind of look at when you do a fundamental analysis. So there are a number of assumptions involved. There are a lot of a big thought process involved when you do fundamental analysis. So fundamental analysis is basically you're analyzing a company based on its financials, based on its quality of management, based on its corporate governance. So you put all of it together and you have a checklist, you wait it out, and then you finally come to a conclusion whether I want to buy a stock or don't want to buy a stock. So one simple example that we can kind of look at is in the current market, there is a decent amount of credit growth happening. So you would analyze, say, from a top-down approach. Again, there are two approaches, a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. In a top-down approach, you analyze the economy, you analyze the sector, and then you analyze the company. In a bottom-up approach, which is a mid-cap investing approach, you'd come from the bottom. You directly look at a company and then try to find a way to do it. So you look at the company, you look at the sector, and then you look at the economy. So Indian economy, GDP growth around 6 to 7%, doing well. Credit growth around 20%, doing decent. So which sector will do well? Banks will do well. So that is why we have seen PSU banks run up in recent times. So again, that also is a function of business cycle where NPAs have come down and all these things have come down. So on a fundamental basis, we know, yeah, PSU banks have done well, banks are doing well. So we know हमको banks खरीदना. Now, fundamental analysis will tell you कि आपको खरीदना क्या है, and you will have different parameters, valuation parameters, and finally you come to a conclusion. Okay, so who are some famous fundamental investors that we can kind of talk about, who are very, very famous and everyone has heard them. Benjamin Graham, he's the father of fundamental analysis. His work on security analysis was used by Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, and all the other players, all the other investors to make money for themselves. Okay. Warren Buffett, everyone has heard of him. Peter Lynch, one of the most successful mutual fund managers. Charlie Munger, he recently passed away. Again, one of the very core and famous people of who are doing fundamental analysis. They are basically the key shareholders in Berkshire Hathaway, and they kind of made money using that Berkshire Hathaway as a holding company and buying different stocks. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, again, someone who's very famous and who recently passed away. His key picks, which everyone kind of talks about, Titan, where he analyzed it from the fact that the economy, Indians are prone to buying jewelry, which is the sector which will do well because of jewelry. Jewelry retailing will do well. Who is the only player who's branded enough and who has a lot of faith, which has a lot of faith, that is Titan. And post-COVID, again, that shift has completely happened. Well, all the run-of-the-mill jewelers have kind of shifted to, there has been a shift in perception towards Titan. So he was one of the most famous guys who have done well in terms of fundamental analysis. Professor Sanjay Bakshi is again a very famous fundamental analyst that we can look at. Not very media savvy, so you will have to Google up a little and find out some stocks that he's talked about. A very big expert in behavioral finance as well. Vijay Kedia, again, a more famous guy whose key picks were Serra Sanitaryware and other stocks which have done substantially well over a period of time. So these fundamental analysts are very famous and they are there on the TV. People believe in fundamental analysis. Okay. Now, what is technical analysis? So technical analysis basically means we know from fundamental analysis what is to be bought. Technical analysis can help you to time it and tell it when it is to be bought at the end of it. So it is not necessary that fundamental analysis will lead technical analysis or technical analysis will lead fundamental analysis, but technical analysis is price volume action. So if there are some investors who are more smarter, who have more information or who have far deeper research than what we have, then you can see that impact in technical analysis. And that can kind of help us identify stocks which we can look at from a fundamental perspective. Okay. So technical analysis can basically tell you when to buy. Fundamental analysis can tell you what to buy at the end of it. In a technical analysis, the key assumption is the past is a reflection. I mean, the current is the future is a reflection of the past. So जो past में हुआ है वो आगे जाके भी होगा. That is the basic, key theory of technical analysis. Because if that is not the case, it is not necessary कि ये level पे आके support लेगा market, because you are just doing a projection. I mean, just drawing a line. But when we say the past is a projection, it's a indicator of the future. We assume कि यहाँ तक ऐसे हुआ है और आगे जाके भी ऐसे होगा. So that is what the basic assumption of technical analysis. That is the building block. If that building block goes away, then the entire thesis of technical analysis will collapse. So in technical analysis, you need to always remember कि the past will be a projection of the future. तो future में क्या होगा वो आपको past से देख के पता चलेगा to a certain extent. Okay. So some famous technical analyst, Charles Dow, he is the guy who set up the Dow Jones Index, the DJI, Dow Jones Industrial Average, and he was the proponent of the Dow theory. He is known as kind of the father of technical analysis. And then after that, other people have come in and who have made it very famous. Jesse Livermore is one of the most famous traders that we have seen over a period of time. He made a lot of money, went bankrupt twice, but finally he committed suicide. But if you look at traders who talk about it, they respect him a lot in terms of one of the first and foremost traders. William Delbert Gahn, he came up with the Gahn indicator. John Bollinger, the Bollinger indicator. So these are some guys who have kind of developed indicators which have been useful throughout. Mark Minervini is one of the most famous technical analysts right now, worth $72 million. And he's very active on Twitter, YouTube, and other places. So again, a good guy to learn from in terms of technical analysts. Ashwini Gujral, I'm sure everyone has seen on CNBC. Sudarshan Sakhani, who have seen on CNBC. Atul Suri is again an technical analyst, but more from a very long-term perspective. He looks at more of trends and from a longer-term investing kind of a perspective. So these are some famous technical analysts, not as famous as the fundamental guys, but again, important from their own work domain and to look at it from the perspective. If you want to learn some bit of technical analysis, then you can refer to these guys in terms of their knowledge as such. Okay, so before I move into the key part and give you some examples of technical analysis, I wanted to kind of look at it from the perspective that what differentiates a fundamental and technical analysis? What is the key thesis that we work with when we look at a fundamental and technical analysis? So it's a very complex theory which was developed by Pharma. It is known as efficient market hypothesis. So what an efficient market hypothesis says is that in a perfect efficient market, strong efficient market, everything is discounted. So your internal information is discounted, private information is discounted, public information is discounted. So whether you're a fundamental or a technical guy, generating alpha consistently is not possible. And we have seen that clearly in global markets. And that is the reason why active mutual funds have kind of lost flavor as compared to passive mutual funds. So if the market is very, very strongly efficient and everything in terms of information is discounted, then it is a strongly efficient market, and active mutual funds will not be able to beat the benchmark consistently. And that is why passive mutual funds have become very big globally because people realize that maybe markets are efficient, everything is known. So making money, particularly in large cap stocks, is very difficult. So better to do index investing where you can reduce your cost and you can play along with the market. So the way the market goes, you go along with that. तो उसके अंदर ज़्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना है आपको. Okay. So again, is that a part of fundamental analysis? Technically, no, because you're not analyzing a company much. You're just looking at an index and you're just buying blindly the index when you're doing passive investing. Okay. So passive investing is a big challenge to active investing. It isn't as big as in India as what we have seen globally, but it can become a big challenge as we go forward. So point to note, single line, strongly efficient markets will have all the information discounted. Fundamentals and technicals won't work at all. Okay. The second form of strong or semi-strong efficiency or the semi-strong markets that we look at is something known as and semi-strong efficiency market. Here, all the public information is discounted, but private information is not discounted. So if there is some internal information, if there is something which is known only to a few people, known only to a government, regulations hai, kuch hai, so that is not discounted. Again here, fundamental and technical analysis both cannot work. Okay, so because it's only the internal information that is working, there is nothing else beyond that. Okay. Then this last is the weak efficiency market. Here, what we assume is all the past is already reflected in the current stock price. So there is no advantage that you have when you look at the past stock prices. So in this kind of an information market, fundamental analysis will still work, but technical analysis will not. Okay. So it varies what will work and what will not work. So if I look at American market, is it a completely efficient market? No, it is not a completely efficient market, but it is getting towards that phase where it is becoming very, very efficient. And that is the reason why passive funds have become very big there, and generating alpha or generating alpha as compared to the index becomes a little difficult in those kind of markets. India still is a market where active fund managers, some very, very big fund managers who have become big even after joining the PMS industry and raising money, they have been able to consistently do that. And the reason for that is India is still a market which is weak efficient. It is not strongly efficient. So that is why even passive funds haven't had that much of an impact in India as we have in global markets. So there the share is ranging in the range of 18 to 20%. But gradually we will get to a scenario where the passive funds also will become as big as active mutual funds. And the reason for that would be we move towards more of a stronger, efficient market over a period of time. Okay. So the point here in terms of getting bringing this up was not to confuse you, but just to make you aware of a simple concept कि these technical analysis and fundamental analysis work in different scenarios. So you need to understand the market that you are in and then try to play accordingly. Okay. So we talked about fundamental analysis. We talked about technical analysis. Let's now kind of talk about a scenario where we try to merge both of it together and come to a situation where we use both of them together in conjunction to come up with a result. So as I said, the Techno Funda method is now used by a lot of people. It is acceptable to a lot of people as well. So even a lot of fund managers, though they won't talk about it in the markets, they speak to technical analysts, they refer their to their views as such, and then finally they come to a conclusion. So in both of the streams, the parameters are different, data streams are different. So when you're making a fundamental decision, there will be a lot of noise. So the one way to approach is I ignore the noise and go ahead and do it. Or the other way to approach is I use that noise to my advantage and then finally come to a conclusion. So they can use both technicals and fundamentals to make better judgments. So if you want to understand the business model of, say, the sugar sector, you will use fundamental analysis. Ethanol में क्या हो रहा है, क्या pricing है, why is it better than sugar, why is it more stable than sugar. Okay, so you will do that. After that you will come to the conclusion, ठीक है चलो सेक्टर मैंने अच्छी तरह पहचान लिया, अभी मुझे कौन से स्टॉक्स खरीदने हैं. I have to do that in terms of I kind of combine it with the demand supply situation in terms of volume of stocks, which stock is in flavor, which stock is not in flavor, and then finally we go ahead and buy that stock as such. So that a technical analysis can help you there. Okay, so both of them together can be used in terms of finding stock. So you can run scanners on various websites like charting, screener, find out stocks, look at their charts, and then say, okay, ये अभी अच्छा लग रहा है, ये companies अच्छी लग रही हैं मुझे, इसमें से ये companies better है because their chart structure is better. Or the other way to do it is you look at the charts, you look at screeners again in charts where you say, okay, iska 52-week breakout hua hai, iska multi-year breakout hua hai. And that is why I will now go back and study the company and see what is happening in that company. Okay. So that is another way of doing things. So it is a mix and match. So fundamentals can lead to technicals, technicals can also lead to fundamentals. So it depends on the scenario of the market and the way you're kind of looking at it in a certain point in time. So there might be a scenario where markets are not doing anywhere. The stocks are in a certain band. So in that sense, technical analysis might not help you. So you just look at the fundamental part and buy stocks from a longer term perspective where you're seeing that business change over that period of time. Okay. So this is the basic gist of the technical and techno funda analysis part. It's a very wide domain. You can mix and match indicators. You can mix and match chart patterns. You can look at it from different scanner perspectives. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to concentrate on three parts when we look at technical fundamental analysis. The first part that we look at is a multi-year breakout. The second part that we look at is special situations. And there is one more part that we will look at when we go forward from here. Okay. So Ankur, any questions so far? Can I move ahead?
Yeah. Yes, sir. You can move ahead.
Okay. Is the pace okay? Am I going too fast?
Yeah. No, no, no. It's good, sir.
Okay. Okay, so multi-year breakouts are a scenario where you look at a stock from the perspective where the stock has been in a range for a long period of time. There has been accumulation and distribution. So accumulation and distribution is a fact where accumulation is when a lot of people are buying that stock. Distribution is when it is getting distributed over a period of time. The stock is in a straight line. I mean, it's not moving up, it's languishing in a certain band. Okay. There are certain key levels which you look at. And once the stock breaks out of that levels, you buy that stock. Okay. And then finally, the confirmation of the breakout comes in once you see 2-3 candles which are above that breakout. Okay. So this is some basic multi-year breakout parameters that you need to look at. Okay. These are some examples that we will look at. So let's look at an example first of a multi-year breakout. Okay. Just give me a moment. Okay. So this is basically a simple website, tradingview.com. यहाँ पे you just have to log in. You don't even need to register, and you can type any company that you're looking at. Okay. So now here I'm looking at a company, DLF. A lot of people in Gurgaon and other places will be knowing this very well. Okay. So if you look at the chart of the company, I'm not a expert in technical analysis, but if I just draw a simple horizontal line and I say, okay, ये 2010 से 2010 से अब तक it has been in a certain zone. Okay, this point it did not go up. It was in a certain zone. It only went up in that, I mean, about that point only in 2023. And see, post 2023, the stock has close to given you more than 70-80% return. I mean, this is a monthly candle that we are looking at. So in this case, what we saw was a multi-year breakout of around 13 years, close to 13 years, 2010 se leke 2023. After that, the stock has done substantially well. Okay. So this is the technical part. Okay. Any questions so far, Ankur? This is clear?
Yes, sir. There is one question popping up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That where do we get information or data for the fundamental analysis, like non-financial information or the concerned financial information that is reliable, or like from where can get a person information that is particularly reliable to get the fundamental analysis done?
Okay, so the most easy way to do that is websites like screener.in or Chartink, where you can run a scanner on companies, say like ROE about this much, volume above this much, debt below this much. And finally, you get a list of companies. Ghanshyamji in the second session will help you
Yeah.
explain that in terms of scanners. And then you look at it from a perspective where you say, okay, I have these companies, and I go and then read their annual reports. I read their balance sheet, and then finally I form an opinion on that. So there are a lot of aggregators of information, like even a trendline.com is a good aggregator of information. So you can look at it on those websites in terms of the stocks, and then finally form an opinion on that at the end of it. So I
Okay.
would suggest just wait for the session of Ghanshyamji.
Yeah.
That will clear a lot in terms of scanners and how we can look at information from that perspective.
Okay.
ठीक
Yeah.
है? We say we identify DLF. Now we go to screener.in. That is a very simple website that we work with. So in screener.in, what you can see is once you type the name of a company, so we type say DLF. Okay. It gives you most of the information in terms of market cap, P, current price, book value, ROE, everything else at the end of it. Okay. So now you come down a little. Okay. This is basically charts, price, and everything. It gives you some pros and cons. Okay. Now these are some very important parameters that can kind of help you, and the point that I'm coming to at the end of it. This is the peer group comparison. Okay. Now, if you look at it from an annual perspective, the company did a sale of around 9,500 crores in 2012. Post that, because of leverage, so the leverage was very high. They used to pay around 2,200 crores of interest income, and the sales were more or less stagnant, but the interest income was very high for them because the debt was very high. So because of that, the profitability was very, very low. It kept on coming down finally at the end of it. Right? There are some exceptional items here, so you need to kind of look at that as well, okay? Because of which the numbers are a little higher. Okay. Now, what has the company done over a period of time? It has reduced debt. So if you can see that the interest cost has come down substantially for them over a period of time. They already had a very good land bank in Gurgaon. Everyone knew that. But what was the key challenge for them was they had spread themselves too thin. They had expanded to Bombay, other markets, and they had taken a lot of debt on their balance sheet. So they sold a lot of businesses. So all their commercial businesses, they put it in a certain, in a separate entity, and then they sold stake in that business and they reduced debt over a period of time. So you come down a little, you have the balance sheet, and you can clearly see कि 25,000 crore का debt आपका has gone down to it's become more of a debt free company now at the end of it. So this happened in March 23, and the breakout was somewhere closer to that time. So here you can easily compare the fundamentals and the technical part. So when you see a lot of momentum happening in DLF, you can go and check the fundamentals of that company as well. And then you can say, okay, this is the time now, it is doing well for me, and I can take a look at the stock at that point in time. So this is a very basic way in which you can look at breakout stocks and try to form opinion on that as such at the end. Okay. So this is one very important domain where you can look at in terms of analyzing stocks from a fundamental perspective, where you get all the data in a very concise and a precise way in a single place at the end. Okay. Okay, Ankur, can I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's look at some other examples that we can look at. One most recent example that we can look at. Okay. Now, again, a very simple way. Stock was languishing for quite some time. Okay. इसके ऊपर कभी गया नहीं है 2008 से, and it went up here. And post that, this has been like, it's gone up 4-5 times at the end of it, right? Okay. So this is again an example where we are seeing a multi-year breakout in a stock like Reliance at the end of it. Now, what happened here? If you look at it from the perspective that Reliance always functions in a scenario where you have, times when the capex is very, very strong for them, and the ROEs of the companies tend to trend down. Once that capex is over, you see the businesses starting to ramp up, operating leverage kicks in. He also sells stakes in that business to other players. So he sold his stake in the oil and gas exploration business to British Gas. He sold his stake in telecom to Facebook, Google, and other players during the COVID crisis. He has sold his stake in retail business to other players. Even in media business, you are seeing that merger happening where he's gone and bought in Disney, and now they would be the largest media player in India. So he initially goes into that phase where he does a lot of capex, ROE's contract. Once that capex is over, the operation leverage kicks in, and then you see the numbers improving. So the last 2-3 years for Reliance, if I again go back to the chart, the stock has languished at the end of it. Here, if you see here, it has languished. इसके ऊपर कभी गया नहीं है 2400-2600 के ऊपर. And the reason was he has done a lot of capex in telecom in 5G. वो 5G capex आपका दिसंबर में complete हुआ. Then the new energy business where he's spending around 1.5-2 lakh crores. That again should start ramping up closer to the mid of next year. Okay. So these are some points where you can see the market is already started discounting that here in December 23 when it broke out of the 2600 zone. So people are already started discounting कि इसकी ROEs improve होंगी because a lot of people will shift from 4G to 5G. Knowing Reliance, he will push people to do that. New energy business आपका मई में चालू हो जाएगा. Again, he might sell stake in that business to other players, and you will see other players kicking in. So that again is another beta point that will be important for Reliance, and that will lead to improvement of ROEs. Okay. So now if I again go back to the fundamental part of the business, I look at it from the perspective where, okay, here on a consolidated basis, the profit was in the range of 3,300 to 33,000 to 47,000 crores, 46,000 crores. यहाँ पे टेलीकॉम रैंप अप हुआ, राइट, एंड पोस्ट दैट टेलीकॉम एंड रिटेल का रैंप अप होने के बाद देखिए आपके प्रॉफिट्स कैसे बढ़े. ओके. So because these new businesses, the multiples that they are given by the markets are higher, they are more operating leverage businesses. So that is why you could see the profitability improving. So now telecom itself has become a 50,000 crore EBITDA kind of a business on an annual basis. Okay. Now, if you look at it from the perspective of say ROEs, here, right? Now these ROEs went down a little. यहाँ पे थोड़े बड़े हैं. अभी देखिए फिर से ROEs आपके कम हो गए because he's again started doing a capex in the new energy and 5G capex kicking in. Now, once this ramps up in 23, you will see the profitability going up once again. Okay. So again here, the debt went up. He sold stakes. Now again, the debt is going up because he's investing again in capex at the end of it. So this is again an operating leverage play from a multi-year breakout perspective, where you need to look at it from the perspective that the stock is showing something. I need to look at it from a fundamental perspective, and then finally come to a conclusion कि हाँ, this is a good time to buy Reliance as such. Okay. Let's take one more example of a multi-year breakout, something which is very recent and which I am sure all of you guys can relate to. It came out with very fantastic numbers on Friday. Tata Motors, one of the best numbers that they have delivered in their entire life at the end of it. Okay. So here, if you look at it, okay, stock was languishing. Okay. JLR acquisition, lot of debt on the balance sheet, JLR not ramping up, pension liabilities in JLR, all these kind of things were there. Stock was languishing. It during COVID, it even went down to 40 levels, 80 levels, right? But then what happened? JLR started ramping up. Mr. Chandra came in. He said, I will bring the breakdown of JLR to 240,000 units per annum. Okay. So cash loss iska FY23 mein hi band ho gaya. Now FY24, he started generating a lot of cash already in JLR. Domestic part में EV में he's become the largest player, 90% market share. There is no other player. Other players like MG Hector and all, they are very premium. They haven't been able to crack the market. अभी जो EV बिकती है for middle class people and upper middle class people is your Tiago and the other SUV of Tata Motors. Okay, तो ये दो चीजें ही, नेक्सॉन सॉरी, ये दो चीजें ही बिकती हैं टाटा मोटर्स की, ओके। तो ईवी मार्केट उसने कैप्चर कर लिया, ही बिकेम द सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट प्लेयर आफ्टर मारुति। थर्ड पॉइंट, सीवी साइकिल। सीवी साइकिल वर्क्स इन साइकिल्स, इकोनॉमी इज डूइंग वेल, सीवी डिमांड बढ़ेगी, सीवी बिजनेस अच्छा कर रहा है, ही इज द लार्जेस्ट इन इंडिया। Other players like Bharat Benz, Ashok Leyland tried, nothing happened. Okay, so that again helped him. So it was in sweet spots altogether, right? So what did we see? 2015 से लेके 2023 में again we saw a breakout, a retest of the breakout, and then finally it went up. Okay, so now let's look at it from a fundamental perspective. What happened? आपका टाटा मोटर्स का FY23 का EPS was 2 rupees and FY24 EPS is 58 rupees. So there has been a big turnaround in the company. So multi-year breakouts are scenarios where you can see turnaround in companies and then you can finally take a call. Okay. So let's look at Tata Motors. Let's look at the quarterly results itself. Your quarterly results collapsed. JLR के बाद your interest income went up. Okay. Now you see the quarterly results have improved substantially. Your EBITDA margins have gone up to 14%, right? So you're seeing that primarily because JLR is improving. JLR profitability for Tata Motors is 70%. Domestic is only 30%. So JLR was the key. Again, you come down a little. Operating profit, as I said, very strong. 31,000 crores का operating profit, trailing 12 months में 5,500 crores, 55,000 crores हो गया. I'm sorry. So there has been a big change. 58 rupees EPS, which I talked about, right? So there has been a big change in the business. एक quarter में ही March 23 के बाद ही everything has substantially changed for the company. It was making losses here. It changed around at the end of it. Okay. So though the sales growth hasn't been that great, the profit growth has been very strong in the last few months if you look at it. Okay. Borrowings have more or less stabilized. Okay. There has been not increase in borrowings and he's able to service those borrowings easily. So यहाँ पे, despite he having 1,27,000 crores of debt, he still is making 55,000 crores of profit. So the net debt to EBITDA is only 4x. It's manageable. It is not unmanageable. But if I look at it from a interest to EBITDA kind of a ratio, the interest cost is just 10,000. So that's around 20% of the total profitability of the business, right? If I look at it lower, यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा था interest cost if I look at it. So that is why the profitability was less. So again here, despite debt being constant, he has been able to get operating leverage in the business. He has been improving his profitability. And that is the reason why we could see the turnaround in the stock as such. Okay. Right. So here it was in losses. ROCs were down. Now we are seeing some improvement in ROCs gradually happening at the end. Okay. Ankur, any questions so far? Can I move
Yeah,
to the second
sir.
round?
So there are some stock specific questions coming up. So if we can take that at the end of the session,
Yeah, that would
you
make
can
more
go ahead.
sense, Ankur. That would
Yeah,
make more sense.
yeah.
So you can jot it down and then we can finally take it down at the end.
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay. Okay. Uh, I'll just share the PPT again. Okay, so these are some examples that you guys can look at it on your own as well in terms of stocks. I don't want to bombard you with too many examples, but these are some examples which have done well in recent times. Reliance, I talked about. Hindustan Unilever, the turnaround happened when the company did a buyback a few years back. So after that buyback, it has completely turned around. It has become more of a company which focuses on margins rather than volume. So the volume growth focus is not there. It is shifting a lot of players to, I mean, consumers to the premium brands. So wheel से surf में जा रहे हैं. These kind of situation or examples are happening, and that led to the business kind of consolidating and doing well. So this buyback was the key trigger for HUVR. तो आप उसकी अगर chart देखोगे तो you can clearly see that stock moving up. Then you look at it from a perspective of a ITC. ITC was languishing. In the last 1 year, the stock has done substantially well. Two triggers. One is the fact that people were expecting the divestment to happen has happened. Hotel business अलग कर दिया है उसने, cigarette business और बाकी businesses से. So in the next 1 year, that business will be separate. So that value creation happened. And the second is, which is more important, is there has been a stability in taxation for cigarettes. So despite every year budget में वो taxes बढ़ाते थे, But this government in the last 2 3 years, you wouldn't have seen the excise for cigarettes go up substantially. So that has led to people being very consistent on profits. I mean, people were a little worried कि हर साल इसका excise बढ़ जाता है, volume growth पे फर्क पड़ती है. But that was not the case. So again, that led to a breakout in the stock. And the last more important thing was ESG. People were a lot worried about ESG, and people said नहीं ESG की वजह से नहीं करेंगे इसमें. But then finally that did not work out, and then you had to kind of look at it from a perspective where you had to invest in the stocks. I mean, people came in and invested in ITC, this ignoring the ESG part as such. Okay, so these are some examples that you guys can look at on your own. उसको फिर जाके screener में check कीजिए, दोनों तरह से check कीजिए, and then you look at it from the ideation perspective. Okay. We did multi-year breakouts. Now the second part is intermarket correlations. Okay, so all the markets are related to each other. So it is not as if in the current scenario where everything is interlinked. There is not a scenario where one market is completely isolated from the other markets, unless you are a Russia or that kind of a scenario where you have close the economy completely. So things happen depending on how you want to do it. Okay. So unless you are in that kind of a scenario like a Russia or maybe a certain scenarios in China where you have regulations on short selling, this, that, but markets are more or less linked globally. So if the a very simple example would be the interest rate cycle. Okay. If the interest rate equities are negatively correlated to interest rates. Okay. So in a scenario where the interest rate goes up, equity markets don't tend to do well because whatever we do in terms of valuations, one is a DCF model. So a lot of IT companies are valued on DCF models. So if your interest rate goes up, your cost of capital goes up, so your valuation comes down. Okay. So that is the reason why when the interest rate cycle peaked, started going up in US, in IT stocks came down, the index came down. Now we have reached a scenario where maybe the inflation has reached a certain stage which the your government wanted. Economy is strong. Economy has kind of tapered down or slowed down a little. So now people are expecting कि February March से rate cuts आना चालू हो जाएंगे. But then farm roll data that came in, farmer payroll data that came in yesterday was a little strong, so people are still worried about it. But globally, but you should see that in the next few months where the rate cut cycle begins. So in anticipation of that rate cut cycle, the IT stocks have rallied in the last 1 or 2 months. If you look at it, if you look at a chart of a Meta or Microsoft or Google or all, these IT stocks have rallied because people know interest rate peak out हो गए, यहाँ से गिरना चालू होंगे. So equity markets have that's why started doing well in the recent times. So despite the fall that we saw in Dow Jones, now it's more or less covered, particularly Nasdaq, and we are now getting closer to new highs at least, right? So interest rates and equity markets have a very strong correlation, very strong negative correlation. So you can have either have a positive correlation or a negative correlation. So there are some more examples which you can look at in terms of intermarket correlations. So something like a crude, right? Crude and India are negatively correlated. That is what everyone assumes, right? But that is not correct. Okay. So crude and India have and correlation which is more or less good till say $100 of barrel of crude. Post $100 barrel of crude, you see the Indian markets kind of going down, right? So you need to look at it from that perspective as well. So crude and Indian markets would be positively correlated till 100 because what you're assuming is when the crude goes down, the global economy is doing well. So Indian economy should also do well. Post 100 is the scenario where we realize that we are 80% importers of crude. Importing of crude will impact my fiscal discipline, fiscal deficit. It will impact my inflation. So that is why the markets start tapering down. So till $100, if you are in India, you should not be worried about the markets of crude going up, with crude going up. But post $100 is where you should kind of be a little worried. So we have seen that correlation. Gold and Nifty is another correlation where we see that during times when markets are bad or there is a lot of volatility, people look at gold as a safe haven. So if gold prices go up, people tend to feel the equity markets will come down and vice versa. But there have been scenarios like what we saw last time around where the global markets came down, but the gold did not go up because people started looking at other investment avenues like a crypto and all against as a hedge against inflation, which is not a correct way of looking at things. So now people have already started looking at gold from that as a hedge perspective. DXY as metals. DXY is basically the dollar index. So if the dollar index goes up, metals come down. If the dollar index comes down, metals go up. So it's a negative correlation that we clearly see. Why is that? Because uh, dollar is the basic dollar index is basically an amalgamation of euro, dollar, and it's a mixture of all these currencies. And then finally you benchmark it to dollar. So if the dollar becomes, I mean, globally everything is benchmarked to the dollar. So if the dollar index goes down, that means your metals become cheaper. There is a lot of demand which can kick in, and that leads to the metal prices going up, and vice versa at the end of it. So that is a negative correlation that you see between dollar index and metals as such. You can look at these intermarket correlations to stocks as well. So if the crude goes up, the your oil marketing companies come down because they will be facing issues in terms of deficits. They will be facing issues in terms of subsidy requirement from the government because despite fuel being completely deregulated, you still have to bear some subsidy for kerosene. And also, as we get closer to the state elections, the government stops them from hiking prices. So that leads to deficit for them. So crude going up beyond a certain level is again negative for oil marketing companies. Okay. So that is a negative correlation. But is it a positive for ONGC? Because ONGC is the explorer of crude. So the more crude I mean, the more the crude price goes up, the more is its realization. So that's why its profit goes up. Okay. So this is basically an intermarket correlation that can be again looked at it from a perspective of a ratio chart as well. So gold and Nifty ratio chart is close to 6. So if that ratio goes up above 6, that is when you go and buy the Nifty. If it goes below 6, that is when you go and sell the Nifty. Okay. So these are some very important and interesting intermarket correlations which you can look at it when you look at the dollar index chart and you see the chart, I mean the index coming down. You can look at metals as a sector and then you can see how it has moved out as such. So I'll try to show you an example and see how it kind of fares as such. Okay, just give me a moment. Mhm. Mhm.
So are we good to go?
Just a moment, please.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll just try to show it to you. Okay. Ankur, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So now these are two charts. So one is the US dollar index and one is the copper prices that you can see clearly. So if you see the yellow line is the US dollar index, and it has a completely negative correlation to copper. So जब भी dollar index नीचे है, copper ऊपर है आपका, and copper is one of the first metals which kind of moves, and then the rest of the metal moves. It's one of the most traded metals that we can see. Here again, you can see it from a different perspective where the dollar index has moved up and the copper prices have kind of come down as such. Okay. So this is an example of an intermarket correlation where we can look at it from the perspective that DXY has kind of broken out, or it has had a fall, and then we look at it from a metal perspective and see the correlation of that to the markets as such. So these are some examples of DXY and your copper prices. Ankur, do you want me to take more examples or should we move ahead?
Yes, sir, we can move ahead. Yeah.
Okay, we can move on. Okay. So the last part where I was kind of looking at it from the perspective of Techno Funda was special situations. Now, this is a very interesting scenario where you see the price movement in stocks happening, and you can look at it from the perspective that the price movement is leading or indicating something which is very different from what we have seen so far as such. So this is basically a situation where you take advantage of the mispricing in stocks because of any regulatory action, mergers, demergers, spin-offs, these kind of situations. So I talked about ITC. So ITC gave a breakout, right? And that breakout was based on the fact that you are seeing a demerger happening and the cigarette price, the taxes stabilizing. Tata Chemicals and Tata Consumer was another example where we saw that uh, certain businesses of Tata Consumer were sold to Tata Chemicals, and Tata Chemicals got the salt. I mean, sorry, certain consumer businesses of Tata Chemicals were sold to Tata Consumer. So Tata Consumer got the salt business and other businesses, and that led to a ramp up in the businesses. So Tata Chemicals became a pure chemical company, and Tata Consumer became more of a chemical consumer company. So that led to a re-rating of the businesses as such. One major example that we can look at and which I'll try to show it to you is Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR. So there is no difference between Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR in terms of earnings, anything. The only difference between the Tata Motors share and the DVR share is in a DVR, your voting rights are limited to 10% of your shareholding, right? So for a minority investor, it really doesn't matter much because being a Tata Group, you can still be confident that there will not be any corporate governance issues as such. So the discount of the DVR to the main stock was around 52% at peak, right? So अगर Tata Motors का भाव 400 था तो the DVR price should be somewhere closer to that. Globally, the discount is around 15%. So 15% discount करके you assume it to be somewhere in the range of 340 rupees. But here what we saw was the pricing was closer to around 200 rupees, 190, 180 rupees. Okay. So in this kind of a scenario where you see the discounts are very high, you can look at a situation where you can buy the DVR because you're confident on the Tata Motors earnings improving. So उसमें ये होगा, the benefit that you will get is you will get a benefit of the earnings improvement which you will get in the main stock, and you will also get an advantage of the discount narrowing over a period of time. Why will the discount narrow? The discount will narrow because Tata Motors, once it starts delivering earnings, it will start giving dividend. So the dividend yield for the DVR stock will be higher. as compared to what you get in the main stock. That is one reason. The other reason is people will realize ki DVR is at a discount and people will tend to buy it. So it's more of a earnings driven kind of a scenario where the discount will narrow over a period of time. So currently the discount is 22% and now DVR shares will be merged into Tata Motors shares. So in the next 1 year, वो 22% का discount भी चले जाएगा. So that 22% discount will also go away. So these are special situations where you need to look at it from a perspective that, okay, this is a technical part where the discount is, the stock is at a discount to the main stock. And then I go and buy the main stock, the DVR as compared to the main stock. So we'll try to see that in the chart as such. Just give me a moment. Okay, so the blue line is the Tata Motors price. The yellow line is the DVR price. So these DVRs were issued somewhere in what do you call 2009, right? And if you see, the discount was not less, but here if you see, there is a big gap. This is the time when the discount was very high, right? So your Tata Motors price was 440, this was 220, okay? Now if you see, the discount has narrowed again, right? So these are examples where you can look at companies which are very strong in terms of earnings, but look at it from a perspective where you look at companies which are a little ancillary to the main stock. So there in that case, the value creation that can happen is far, far higher. So I will try to give one more example and see if that adds up for us. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, sure. Sir, there
Just a
is
second.
one no, sir, there is one request coming up from Mr. Pawan Agnihotri.
Okay.
So he's asking that if for intermarket relations, if you
Mhm.
can show an example of gold and Nifty. So
Okay.
we can take that up also after your
Yeah. Yeah.
this module
Yeah.
ends up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the yellow line is the partly paid shares of Bharti, and the blue line is the main Bharti stock. So now what happens is these partly paid shares were issued in say closer to October 21, and these shares, the strike price was 532 rupees. आपको सिर्फ 132 rupees भरने थे, and 400 rupees you had to pay over the next 2 years. Now, these prices, it went down to even 160 level. So the discount to the main Bharti price was very high. And gradually, what we have seen is this discount has narrowed over a period of time. So these are some special situations where you can take advantage where the Bharti price has moved by X, but the partly paid price has moved by 2X because what you're getting is a bigger alpha here or a bigger benefit of time value of money here. So this again is from a Techno Funda kind of a perspective where you can look at these kind of mispricing in situations and then finally come to a conclusion on that. Okay. So now I'll try to do gold and Nifty. Okay. So here, if you see a scenario where the gold has more or less kind of become equal to where the Nifty is to a certain extent. But there were scenarios where the market was not doing anything and the gold prices went up. Then the markets went up, the gold prices came down. Again, here, what we saw is a scenario where the market was not doing anything. 2020, the gold prices went up. Then the market did well, the gold languished. Markets did well, liquid, thoda sa yahan pe, and then the gold prices came down. So now this is a scenario where that correlation is kind of broken off to a certain extent, and where we are seeing a lot of money going into other asset classes like crypto and all, which are people are looking at as a hedge against inflation rather than gold as such. Any other questions, Ankur? We can
Yeah.
open it up for questions. Actually, I'm done with more of my content as such.
Okay. So sure, sir. So there is one question that is coming up. Like, if in any stock, let's just say we've kind of intercepted a multi-year breakout. So how can we identify the target that at what price range it will stop? So there is,
No, so you
yeah,
for a multi-year breakout, you can never identify a target, because the sky is entirely open, तो
open.
कुछ भी हो सकता है. So the only thing you can do when you do a multi-year breakout is uh, whenever that breakout happens, normally there is a candle or there is a scenario where the retest of that breakout happens. So that is the point where you kind of look at it once again and you just buy it from there. You really can't put a target to a multi-year breakout as such. So there are different methods like a Fibonacci and everything which people use. 61.8 k ratio pe karte hain. But I really don't agree to it in terms of that, because that's more of a very technical point.
Technicals.
But if you're looking at it from a perspective where you're looking at buying a stock on multi-year breakouts and looking at it from a fundamental perspective, then the other way to do it is you look at it from a fundamental point of view. So मैंने Tata Motors ₹2 का 58 rupees हो गए. What is the next year's EPS? 60 rupees. उसके बाद maybe it languishes because that is where the maximum it can go to. So maybe I would not be comfortable buying Tata Motors at this price. I would kind of want to reduce my exposure gradually over a period of time. So that is where you can look at it from a fundamental perspective as well. Ki this is the target that I can get at the end of it. So the breakout can help you identify the stock, and then you look at it from a fundamental point and you say, okay,
Fundamental point
इसकी
of view.
इतनी PE है, इतनी DCF है, and then you finally come to a conclusion. That is one way of doing it. But if you ask any technical analyst, he says I really don't have a target for a multi-year breakout. It can be anything at the end of it.
Okay.
So Bajaj Finance, these kind of examples are there where the stocks have gone up 10x also, right? After
Yes,
multi
sir.
breakouts. So there the fundamentals kept on improving. So in that sense, maybe Tata Motors keeps on doing something, becomes very big in EV. So these kind of scenarios are there. But do I really see that for Tata Motors happening? No, I really don't have see that in that pipeline. But when I saw the breakout in Bajaj Finance, I could see the market itself was very nascent. It was a very big player in the B2C consumer market. And that is why the stock kind of kept on doing well after that, where the B2C part kept on growing and it kept on growing at a far higher rate. So in that sense, you need to kind of look at it as a mixture of the fundamental part and then finally come to a conclusion.
Okay. So, sir, there is one stock specific question that we have discussed earlier. So can I take that up too?
हाँ अंकुर, सूरज is better यार.
हाँ जी.
सूरज is better, sir मत भूलिए.
Okay.
हाँ,
Yeah. So,
हाँ.
so yeah. So there is one request from Vinod Kumar, sir. Like, what do you think about multi-year breakouts in PSU like SGVN?
Okay,
If you
so
can. Just elaborate that with the help of the chart or something.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to do that. Uh,
It's SGVN.
नहीं नहीं, वो मैं एसजीवीएन समझा आपका बात, मैं आपको एक
अच्छा.
भेल के एग्जांपल से समझाता हूँ.
Okay, sure,
ठीक
sure,
ठीक
sir.
है, आई ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन इट टू यू फ्रॉम एसजीवीएन
Yeah,
एग्जांपल.
yeah, not an issue.
Okay. Okay. So you can say there were two breakouts. Okay. This was a breakout, a larger breakout around यहाँ पे 104 rupees पे. This was a breakout of say normally 5 years is what you should assume. तो 5 साल के ऊपर का breakout is a good breakout that you should look at. Okay. तो यहाँ पे breakout हुआ and then again this is again a far multi-year bigger breakout. Now what you need to understand is कि भेल business क्या करता है अंकुर? Any idea?
No, sir, actually, I have not keep track of this
Okay.
company.
Okay. So, BHEL manufactures capital goods equipment for thermal power plants. So,
More power plant.
boilers, turbines, वो बनाता है. Thermal power plant India में is that a focus of the current government, Ankur?
Yes, sir.
Is it? It's a focus? No, I
I
don't think so.
think
The
what
focus
is
of the current government is more on solar and wind. The
solar
focus,
and
right? So,
the green energy.
yeah, green energy. So thermal power is right now looked at it more from a perspective of acting as a backup to solar and wind, because solar आपका दिन में आता है, wind आपका रात में होता है. तो to stabilize that you use solar and you use thermal and gas. So the thermal power capacity addition in India is very less. It is not happening at a very good pace at the end of it. Now the current market price of BHEL assumes that there should be a 10 gigawatt order inflow for BHEL every year, which is not possible. 10 gigawatt की thermal power capacity India में addition होगी ही नहीं at the end of it.
होगी नहीं.
But the price indicates that at the end, right? So there are numerous examples which you can look at. So Suzlon is a 500 crore top line company and the market cap is 45,000 crores, right? So again, here you're assuming in case of Suzlon that Suzlon gets 80% of the wind orders. There are other players as well who will get orders. So it is a very false assumption. So in this kind of a scenario, this is a very good point where you can say, okay, BHEL is undervalued. I still have some value here and I can see some value coming in. But at 170, 180, you would still be a little cautious in terms of how you're looking at things. I'll try to explain it in terms of SJVN as well. Right? यहाँ पे undervalued था, dividend yield was very high, right? So 40 rupees, a good price to handle. But now at 142 rupees, what are you giving? What price to book is it trading at in terms of for a utility business? Does it make sense for me? I don't think it makes sense for me. It is just a single unit kind of a business जहाँ पे उनका एक ही पावर प्लांट है सतलज पे जो है इनका, और कोई इनका बिजनेस नहीं है in terms of your hydro power business. So I would be very cautious in these kind of scenarios. So this can be a very good point in terms of a breakout for you, where you can say, okay, this is a multi-year breakout here at these levels maybe. And then you kind of wait for it and say, okay, that is why you can't really have targets for that. This has gone up by around
Yeah,
20 रुपए का आपका 142,
it's
7 times.
140. Okay, 7 times.
Yeah, but will I be kind of cautious in terms of at 80 rupees in terms of fundamentals? Yes, I will be cautious in terms of 80 rupees in terms of fundamentals. So the current market scenario, I forgot his name. क्या नाम था उनका?
Vinod.
So Vinodji, the current market scenario is a scenario where it's very easy to make money, and I'm sure Ankur will also agree to that. But will the current market scenario persist at all points in time? No, it will not.
No,
And
definitely
this
not.
is and that will lead to very difficult times for us. So if you have profits in stocks, it is better to book profits in stocks, because this euphoria might not continue for all points in time, because finally at the end of it, what is India? India is a 13-14% earnings growth kind of a story. You have a 7% GDP growth and a 7% inflation. तो 14% आपका earnings growth होता है per annum, and that is what is reflected in large cap stocks. Small cap stocks में there is a lot of euphoria happening, there is a lot of money flowing, people are getting crazy about it. 15-16 हज़ार करोड़ के SIP inflows आते हैं, उसमें से आधे मीडिया स्मॉल एंड मिड कैप में जाते हैं. So that is why these small and mid cap stocks are pretty crazy. So a polycap company like Polycap, which is at 50,000 crore market cap, does it justify for a wire and cable company to trade at that kind of multiples? No, it is not. So you have to be very cautious in these kind of scenarios in terms of where the stocks are. So yes, I really don't have an answer to the question कि सतलज यहाँ से 300 रुपए भी हो सकता है या हो सकता है. Markets are crazy, but would I be buying at these prices? No, I really wouldn't be
No.
buying at these prices.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for this insight. So there is one another question coming up from Vinod sir too. When to expect when a stock enters into uncharted territory?
When
What to expect? What to expect when a stock enters into an uncharted territory? I
you
think it's a blue sky.
Yeah, well, it's an open horizon that you can look at in terms of stocks. So I'll give you an example. Now it entered into uncharted territory around these levels. Okay, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं maybe these levels. But post that it's just gone up at the end of it. Now it's consolidated here because Reliance is entering the business at the end of it. So you really need to look at it from a fundamental perspective. So is Bajaj Finance fundamental strong? Yes. Reliance आएगा क्या होगा? Maybe you will find it come down a little, but will it expand the market? Yes, it will expand the market. Do we need two players? Yes, we need two players. Reliance and Bajaj Finance will survive. Maybe the Tatas and all of the world who are lower in the rank in terms of B2C consumer finance business, they will go away. So you will find these kind of scenarios where I would still be comfortable holding on to Bajaj Finance. I mean, despite it having those multi-year, I mean, despite it having a multi-year breakout and then kind of languishing at these levels. But will I be comfortable buying a SJVN where it's just a single utility, single power plant kind of a business and try to work on it? No, I really wouldn't be comfortable with that. So you need to look at it from a fundamental perspective as well. This is not just technical. This is what we are talking about. It's Techno Funda. So
Techno
technicals
Funda.
can give you a lead in terms of where the business is headed, but finally it all comes down to the fundamentals of the business as such. So as I said, what to buy comes from fundamentals, but when to buy, maybe a technical can help you in that sense.
Yeah. So, sir, there is another question coming up from Ashish Kumar Jain.
Yeah.
Like, as a portfolio manager, how would you evaluate micro cap companies for a potential investment? Like, what could be the important parameters that will help you to decide to invest or not to invest in those micro cap companies?
So, see, you need to distinguish in terms of the risk reward expectation and the inherent nature of micro cap, mid cap, small cap, and large cap. So, a large cap company is well researched, well covered, well known. Everyone knows it. So you can use. I mean, you really don't have to use too much of your uh, in-depth analysis in the business unless there is something drastically going wrong in the business, say like a media business where it is facing competition, where it's becoming more digital, so the television guys are not able to capture that. So we are seeing that in Z and Sony and other sides. Or there is a scenario where Eicher Motors is getting a lot of competition from Hero Motors, which has launched Harley in India, and it directly competes with Eicher, right? So in that kind of a scenario, you will look at it from that perspective. Ki maybe the stock will languish for some time from a larger cap perspective. From a mid and small cap perspective, again, you have some bit of research. You really have some bit of handle on the stock. You really know the stock. You meet the management. You understand the management. You try to build a thesis around it, and then you finally come to a conclusion on it. Okay, so there the risk reward that I would have is very skewed, particularly in small cap, because there I'm taking a big call on the management. I need to meet the management at least once a quarter to have confidence on that. I really don't need to meet a Tata Motors once a quarter. एक साल में एक बार भी मिल लिया या कॉन कॉल सुन लिया, I am comfortable because I know the management. I really don't need to meet ICICI Bank. But if I want to meet, look at a small and a mid cap company, I need to look at it more from a bottom up perspective, where I need to look at it from a qualitative perspective very clearly how good the management is, where is it headed, is it adding up in terms of the business, Is it doing the right things, right? Because you would have scenarios like a Suzlon or a Future Group, where despite they being in very, very good businesses, they really haven't been able to expand. उसी के सामने आपका your Avenue Supermarket was there as a retail business, but look at where it survived and where it is. So if you look at it from that perspective, in a mid and small cap, you need to evaluate it more qualitatively and less quantitatively, because if the quality is right and you are in the right sector, that business will continue to do well. So and some few examples that you can look at is say like a PVC pipes business, where you have good companies like Astral, Supreme, who have very strong pedigree. So in that sense, those are mid cap stocks that you can kind of look at it. Now, coming to the micro cap part, it is a completely different ball game altogether. So when you're looking at a micro cap, you need to devote that much more time as compared to what you look at it as compared to a large cap or a mid cap or a small cap. So the concentration should be 10x. Abhi again, a lot of people are getting excited because of the markets, but a lot of these micro cap companies have some inherent issues in terms of the business as such. So there is Motilal Oswal, which has launched a micro cap index fund. Now वो stocks में liquidity नहीं होती है, तो आप उसका index fund कैसे चलाओगे? Because when you are buying an index, you are going to buy those stocks. Now, if the liquidity is not there, then you're pushing up the prices of those stocks as well at the end of it. So in a micro cap kind of a scenario, there is no strict parameters that you can look at in terms of business, but the basics of the business remain the same. Strong ROE, at least of 16 to 18%. Good working capital cycle. So you need to look at it that the working capital cycles are strong, because you might have a scenario, particularly in these micro cap companies, that the working capital cycles are not well because these might be vendors to someone, yeah, all kind of scenarios. The third important point that you need to look at is the cash flow generation. So the EBITDA to cash flow ratio, CFO ratio, cash flow from operations ratio should be very strong. So whatever EBITDA is getting converted into cash flow. Some
Cash
working capital का benefit देके ऐसे नहीं हो रहा है कि आपकी कहीं business में चोरी हो रही है. So these are some important fundamental parameters that you would look at, and when you look at a micro cap company. So here you would look at it more from a bottom up perspective and not from a top down perspective. And that is the basic thesis that you would kind of look at. So you will have scanners that you will run. You will look at it from that perspective. So Ghanshyam ji जब ही second half में करेंगे, so he will take you through those scanners, maybe where he can look at stocks with a lower market cap as such as well. And then that is how we kind of analyze it. But here again, the quality of the management is very important. So here again, I need to meet them at least once a month, yeah, listen to their con calls and come to a conclusion before I finally come to an opinion on that. So again, big asterisks. SME market and microcap market in the current scenario is not to be looked at, because these are very, very times where the liquidity is very high, stocks are pushed up, SME IPOs are going crazy. So just don't look at it from the perspective of the current market scenario. Look at it from a far longer perspective and see what is my risk reward ratio in that sense.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So there is one another question coming up, like how to correlate indexes with Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies, if in any way it is possible.
You can't, you
That's,
can't, you
you
can't,
can't.
you can't, you
Yeah.
can't.
So
I
that
really don't
is
have an
coming
answer
up
to, you really don't have an answer to that, because these
uh,
cryptocurrencies inherently are very volatile.
very volatile. Yeah.
People say there is some basis to it. I really don't think there is any basis to it. So I really don't have an answer to that question. You really can't correlate.
Okay. So that is coming up from Vinod sir only. So yeah. So sir, that's I think all sums up the questions on your part, and you have beautifully responded to them also. So yeah, sir.
Yeah.
If you
Hope I was able to add value to
yes,
you and
definitely.
everyone else at the end of it.
It was a wonderful session on your end, very fundamentally classic one. And you
Yeah.
had also received a response from one of our attendees, like excellent session, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And I mean,
yeah.
I'm not as big an expert as Ghanshyamji, but just try to still do my best and give whatever I could in terms of the.
So yeah, sir. So Mr. Pradeep has commented that yeah, excellent session, Suraj sir, and it was such a great one. Thank you for all your insights, sir.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it was lovely listening to you.
Thank you,
Uh,
Ankur. Thank you,
yeah,
Samandeep. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Ghanshyamji, you can take over. Ankurji, आप
yeah.
continue.
So
So I need to just
yeah,
leave. I actually hurt my toe. I just need to go to the doctor. So Thank you so much, Ghanshyamji. Thank
Not,
you.
yeah,
Thank you
not
so
an
much.
Yeah.
issue. Take care,
Uh,
sir.
Suraj, before you leaving,
Uh,
I would say that it was really a great session. I also learned a lot of things from your session, and I believe that I am a student of market. I'm
yeah,
still learning it.
everyone is, sir.
Day by day, I am improving to some extent. Yeah, but a really great session. Thank
Yes,
Thank
you.
you
sir.
so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Suraj.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, good evening, Ganjam sir. So now I would like to introduce CA Ganjam Joshi sir to share his views on how to generate long-term wealth using Techno Funda, building fundamental screeners and identifying hidden gems of the market. So if I tell you about the Ganjam sir is a BCom fellow member of the ICI. He's also having a diploma in IFRS from ACCA UK. He is a qualified NISM series research analyst exam, which is a prerequisite for SEBI registered research analyst. He was the member of the Capital Market and Investor Protection Committee of WIRC of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the year 22-23. He is also the member of the study group constituted for formulation of study group on revamp the certificate courses offered by the Committee on Financial Markets and Investor Protection. Also, he has delivered several lectures at various forums of ICI and professional groups, including National Conference on Capital Market at Pune branch of WIRC and many more. So over to you, Ghanshyam sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Ankurji, for the nice
Yeah, thank you,
introduction.
sir.
Thank you, Committee of Financial Market and Investor Protection. This is my third webinar on this platform. Apart from the national conclaves, national conferences, and branch level seminars. Yeah. So let's start. I will share my screen. Screen is visible.
Yeah, yes, sir. It's visible.
Voice is clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So my topic for today is building fundamental screeners, identifying hidden gems of the market. So first of all, these are the standard disclaimers. Whatever I'm sharing, that is for study purpose only, educational purpose only. I am not a SEBI registered advisor, though I have qualified NISM research analyst exam, but yet to be registered as a SEBI certified research analyst. So I can't give you any advice or tip. No investment advice, no trading calls. All are for study purpose. Do your own research before investing into any stock. Take advice from SEBI registered advisor before investing. Whatever sites I am using, these are for information purpose only. There is no any intention of promoting those sites, or there is no paid promotion of the sites. No stock specific query, please. I am not a SEBI registered advisor. In the last 15 minutes, we will open the forum for question and answer. I set the alarm. And if you have any further queries, then you can tweet me. You can DM me on my Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is @CA Ghanshyam Joshi. And DM is open. Now, what are the learning objective of today's session? Quick recap of fundamental ratios. We have learned fundamental ratios in our uh, CA course. We will just go through some of the fundamental ratios. Then importance of interest coverage ratio vis-a-vis debt equity ratio. Then what is PEG ratio? Importance of PEG ratio, PEG, profit earning growth ratio, and then Graham number. Suraj sir has given a reference to Benjamin Graham, who is father of fundamental investing. He has discovered this gram number. Then understanding results and turnaround stories. Then beyond results, this I am not covering. Then question and answer. There will be 15 minutes. Last 15 minutes will be there for question and answer. Note down your queries and ask at the end so that my flow will not break. Then, while doing the fundamental analysis, there are three parts of fundamental analysis: quantitative analysis, qualitative analysis. And in quantitative analysis, some ratios are to be checked. And these are the key ratios which we need to check. See, one is working capital ratio. Everyone is well aware about working capital ratio. Then debt to equity ratio. While checking debt to equity ratio, why to check interest coverage ratio? We will cover that. Then current asset, quick asset, current ratio and quick ratio, that is to be checked. Then operating profit margin, this is very important. Then asset turnover ratio, EV by EBITDA. EV is economic value of the business. ROE, return on equity, and return on capital. Uh, ROE and ROCE, return on equity and return on capital employed. This ratio. Then earning per share, price to earning ratio, price to book ratio, then price earning growth ratio. We will talk little bit about this. Then dividend yield, promoter holding, pledge percentage. These are very important. Then market cap to sales, profit growth ratio, sales growth. These are some important aspects, important ratios which we need to check. Then going to next slide. What is the correlation between debt equity ratio and interest coverage ratio? Say if debt equity ratio is greater than 1, then many persons avoids to take entry in that stock. What I will say, if the debt equity ratio is greater than 1, then check interest coverage ratio. Sometimes many companies run their business based on borrowing. If they are generating a good profit and their interest coverage ratio is good enough, in our academic term, we say that interest coverage ratio more than 2 is good. But what I will say, in the practical terms, take it as a 5 at least. If interest coverage ratio is more than 5, then go with that company. Next, price earning growth ratio. PG ratio refers to the stock valuation method based on the growth potential of the company's earnings. How the company is growing, based on that, the price earning growth ratio is calculated. Formula is P ratio. What is P ratio? Price divided by earning is price to earning ratio, P ratio, and that ratio divided by the future earning growth of that company, that is called as profit earning to growth ratio, PEG ratio. If you look at, if you calculate from at your own or from sources, what is the forward PEG ratio, that will be more better to determine, that will be more better for taking a decision of your investment. Forward PEG ratio is determined based on annualized future growth rate for a certain period, usually up to 5 years. Then trailing PEG ratio, that is determined based on the stocks trailing growth rates. पास्ट का जो भी है हिस्ट्री, उसके ऊपर वो डिटरमाइन होगा. Then Graham number, commonly known as Benjamin Graham number. This stock valuation measure was proposed by Benjamin Graham. He is recognized as the father of value investing. There is a fixed formula for calculating the Graham number. Square root of 22.5 into EPS into BV. EPS stands for earning per share, BV stands for book value per share. One can use Graham number not exactly, but nearest to the intrinsic value of the business. If we have to calculate the intrinsic value, then we have to calculate the discounted cash flow. Then what will be the terminal value for calculating the discounted cash flow? In many cases, we do not have that value, or we cannot uh, certainly assess what will be terminal value and what will be the future growth rate. So it will be difficult for a common person to calculate intrinsic value of the business. So instead of that, one can use Graham number. Then these are the common parameters. What should be the limit? Price earning ratio, PE ratio, lower than the sector's average is better. ये फंडामेंटल के बुक्स में लिखा हुआ है, but in today's parlance, if you see PE ratio of many companies, those are higher than the sector average. Then price to book value, lower than the sector average is better, but equal to the sector average or with some premium with the sector average, that is also better. It should not be that the sector average is 5 and the company's price to book value is 4 times, 5 times than the sector's average. Then you have to take cautious decision. If there is any story playing out, if there is any turnaround story is getting in, some new businesses that company incorporating in its portfolio, then you can give higher valuation, because as per Dow theory, market discounts future uh, future of that business at current. Okay? Then in common parlance, the sales growth ratio, profit growth uh, ratio, return on equity, return on capital employed, return on invested capital, ROIC, this should be greater than 15%. मतलब CAGR growth of 15% is good enough for growing a business. And here I would like to draw your attention to one fact that generally what we see as ROE stands for return on equity. ROCE stands for return on capital employed. But in share market, in equity market, replace the on with off. Replace this on with off. Return of capital employed, return of equity, that is more important while you are making a decision of trading or investing, because market is very volatile. We can't predict whether the market will continuously go up or it will go up and down and again when it will go up. So take a informed decision with proper risk management. Then Debt to equity ratio, lower the better. Maximum it should be 1, but in certain cases it can be more than 1 where the industry is capital intensive. Pledge by promoter, this should be nil, but in some companies like banking, telecom, or where the heavy capital is required, in those companies many a times promoters pledge their shares to get a loan. In that case, less than 30% pledged by promoters, that is okay. Why? Why pledge by promoters should be nil? See, if suppose the promoter is pledging his shares at that time, the share price is like here. Yeah, the promoter has pledged his share. This share has moved 4x or 5x from this base, and here promoter is going to pledge his shares, and then if suppose that price is coming down, what the financial institution from whom that promoter secured the loan, what they will do, they have to chase the promoters by, और हमको collateral दो. They need more collateral securities to secure that loan because the price is falling down. So that is the catch here. Okay, I think you got the point what I am trying to explain. Then eh, understanding results. We see on television, on various sites, that results came in quarter on quarter performance is very good, or year on year quarterly performance is very good, or 9 months, just the current quarter ending was 9 month ending. 9 month on 9 month performance is very good. 9 months performance versus last whole year performance is very good, or the numbers are beating the estimate. So in that balance, let's understand what are the key components of results. One is sales or revenue, gross sales, net sales. Then operating income, or you may say it EBIT, operating profit. Then operating profit and operating profit margin. Sorry, first is operating income. Yeah. And second is operating profit and operating profit margin percent. Then from that operating profit, reduce the interest and depreciation and amortization. You will arrive at EBIT. From EBIT, add less extraordinary items and tax expenses or tax income. You will arrive at net profit. And net profit divided by number of equity shares, you will arrive at EPS. In EPS, we see the diluted EPS and our regular EPS. Yeah. So while checking this number, we need to check the year on year and quarter on quarter growth. If there is a growth, then it is good. If there is a degrowth, then we have to keep this that stock in our monitoring list if we are holding that stock. See, एक क्वार्टर में नंबर खराब आए तो फंडामेंटल पूरी तरह से खराब हो गया ऐसे नहीं बोल सकते. We have to check for at least 2 to 3 quarters. If consistently the numbers are going down, then we have to take the decision whether to hold or exit from that stock. Also, we need to check compounded annual growth rate for 3 year, 5 year, 10 year of their revenue, operating profits, profit, and EPS. While checking this number, do not forget to check segmental reporting wherever available. Because sometimes what happens, the number are steady, but profit is going high. Why? Because that company is now focusing on more profitable business. Which segment is giving more profit? Suppose earlier their sales is 60, total sales is 100. Yeah, total sales is 100, and out of that total sale, one segment A, it is contributing 60%, and segment B contributing 40%. And their net profit margin percent, if this business is giving 6% net, sorry, 10% net profit, and this business is giving 15% net profit. So what will be the net profit? 60 into 10%, 6, and 40 into 15%, 6. It is coming to 12. And 12 means average net profit is around 12%. Now suppose the company is focusing now more on this business. This business is growing. Its sales has gone, we can say it's revised sales. This is gone to 60, this is gone to 40. The NPM percent is same, 10% and 15%. My sales is at 100 crore only. Now, what will be the difference here? 40 into 10%, I will get net profit of 4 here. 60 into 15, I will get of net profit of 9 crore here. So my net profit will go to 13 crore, and in aggregate, the net profit percentage will be 13%. So with the help of segment reporting, we can identify these type of trends. If suppose in next year, from this 60-40, which is giving 10% and 15%, next year the sales ratio has gone to, here it is 20 and it is gone to 80, and again the net profit margin has in this segment increased from 15% to say 18%. What will happen? The profitability will jump higher. 80 into 18%, that will come to 14.4 crore, and 20 into 10, that will come to 2 crore. So now the profitability has increased to 16.4%. So whether my top line is same, but with the change in segment, change of focus of management from segment A to segment B, which is a milking cow, my profitability is increasing. That's why segmental reporting is important. So check the segmental reporting also. With the help of the results, we can identify turnaround stories. Some points, checkpoints for turnaround story. How can we identify? Last year or trailing 12 month sales is much higher as compared to previous year, latest year, or trailing 12 months. Latest year means latest year ended was March 23. If suppose you are comparing March 23 results, that was the year end point, or after the coming quarter, March 24, latest year was March 24, and trailing 12 months was also March 24. Trailing 12 months कब play में आएगा? In this mid of the year. Now 9 months results are getting published. In this case, current year's 3 quarter and last year's 1 quarter, that will be the trailing 12 month, is much higher as compared to previous year, say last 2-3 years. That sales is much higher. Then operating profit margin and operating profit are also increased as compared to previous year. Then is there any change in management? नया management आ रहा है, new management is taking over the business and they are more visionary than the earlier management. उनके बेले में आग है और वो बिजनेस को ग्रो करना चाहता है, ऐसा अगर मैनेजमेंट आता है तो कंपनी में एक स्पार्क आएगा, टर्न अराउंड स्टोरी बनेगी. आइडेंटिफाई दोस. देन whether the company is going for capacity expansion. If yes, identify it in early stage and then play that story. Then check the management guidance through annual report or through quarterly results with my management commentary. कौन कॉल देखिए, कौन कॉल में देखिए कि मैनेजमेंट जो बोल रहा है वो कर रहा है नहीं. व्हाट दे आर सेइंग, what they were said in the past 2-3 con calls, whether the management walks the talk, जो बोल रहे हैं वो कर रहे हैं क्या. Then check the sector is in boom or sector is in demand. Tailwinds देखो, supported by national and oblique or global economy. Current example, defense sector, railway sector. If we see our economy, our government is allocating more funds for defense sector, more capex is allocated for defense and railway sector. So if there is a tailwind, then identify companies in that sector which are turning around. We'll take an example, practical example, how to identify the turnaround stories with example on with the use of screener.in. You may use other sites also. Then other aspect to study from financial reports. बहुत बार लोग ये चीज निग्लेक्ट करते हैं. इसने बोला ले लिया, उसने बोला ले लिया, अंदर तो घुस गए मगर अभिमन्यु मत बनो. Check the history of equity expansion or issue of shares. What is the cost of funds and its impact on cash flow? Whether the company is issuing right issue, whether the company is going for public issue, either IPO or FPO. If suppose earlier that company was not listed, unlisted company, you have acquired the shares before the public issue. Now keep a track whether that company is going for IPO. IPO क्या प्राइस पे आ रहा है. If IPO आ गया था, then FPO आने वाला है. FPO क्या प्राइस पे आ रहा है. If the company is going for QIP, qualified institutional placements, check कितना करंट मार्केट प्राइस से कितने डिस्काउंट पे आ रहा है QIP. 7-8-10% एवरेज ठीक है, बट इफ द QIP is coming at heavy discount, then it should be a trigger point, alarm point for you. Issue of shares on exercise of warrant. मैनेजमेंट को वारंट इशू किया था, मैनेजमेंट कन्वर्टिंग देयर वारंट्स इनटू इक्विटी. That means the management is confident about their business. दे आर गोइंग टू, अदरवाइज क्या है, मैनेजमेंट के पास तो ऑप्शन है ना, जो भी डायरेक्टर्स है उनके पास में ऑप्शन है, प्रमोटर्स के पास में ऑप्शन है कि उन्होंने जो वारंट लिए थे वो वारंट इक्विटी में कन्वर्ट करने के बजाय वारंट एक्सरसाइज कर ले और उसका पैसा ले ले, ठीक है। देन whether the company is issuing ESOPs, ESOPs देने से क्या होगा, जो कंपनी के एम्प्लॉयज है, हायर लेवल एम्प्लॉयज, उनको इनडायरेक्टली उनका वेल्थ बढ़ेगा अगर वहां पे वो कुछ शेयर नहीं बेचते हैं। एक्सेप्शनल केस में कुछ कुछ होता है, जैसे एक कंपनी से छोड़ के जा रहा है दूसरी कंपनी में, वो बोलता है ठीक है मेरा ये इतना इसका हिसाब था, उसमें से मुझे कुछ पैसे चाहिए, मैं बेच दिया, दैट इज अनदर पार्ट। देन चेक फॉर प्रेफरेंशियल अलॉटमेंट, शेयर्स अलॉटेड टू वन और मोर सिलेक्टेड सेट ऑफ इन्वेस्टर, वहां पे कोई बड़ा प्लेयर अंदर एंट्री मार रहा है क्या। सी, इफ एनी PE is coming in, then he will do the due diligence of the company, then he will put his money in that company, otherwise no. So if we go for their the company's due diligence, whether that company, that corporate will हमको कुछ भाव देगा क्या, नहीं देगा। वही अगर कोई PE फंड उसमें आ रहा है, they will show their full books of accounts, all things they will explain, and those who have the experience of due diligence, they know how difficult it is to face the due diligence process. Then check the dividend and earning history, past history, what is the future prospect, वो भी check करो। Then history of corporate action through bonus, split, right issue, buyback, dividend payout, वो भी एक बड़ा इम्पैक्ट करता है आपके इक्विटी होल्डिंग पे। नाउ दिस इज एन एग्जांपल, सूरज सर ने भी screener.in बताया था, यूज किया था। सी, इफ यू क्रिएट योर लॉगिन with any email ID to screener.in, you can keep a dummy login also, ठीक है, need not to be your actual email address। सी, एक कोई टेम्पररी ईमेल एड्रेस बना लो, उससे लॉग इन करो, इफ यू डोंट वांट टू गिव ए सीक्रेसी। इफ यू डू नॉट लॉग इन, देन व्हाट वी सीन, ये खाली 3x3 का मैट्रिक्स सूरज सर के इसमें दिख रहा था, बिकॉज ही वॉज नॉट लॉग्ड इन टू screener.in। if you log in with the free version, what I am talking is with the free version, yeah, you can add more 18 ratios to this, which give you a brief idea how to screen that share। मैं, ये मेरे कुछ है, मैं देखता हूँ, हाँ ये मेरे पास हो रहे हैं, तो then I will go into deep dive into that stock। then after this 9, how you can incorporate these another 18 ratios, go here on this edit, on this edit ratios button, go here, and you can with this add to table, or after clicking on this edit ratio, there will be a list, from that you can select the ratios which you want on the surface। So with the help of 27 ratios, you can glance the stock immediately. Then you can decide whether I have to go for a deep dive or not। This is my standard template। Sir, is it visible? Hello?
Hello.
Ankur sir, are you there?
Hello. Yes, yes, sir. I think so there is some audio issue here. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is this clear, visible?
Sir, it's a kind of a bit light.
A bit
If you
light.
can zoom it a bit.
Okay, I will go to company. This just take
This
this
is
ad for example.
yeah,
This is my
yeah, it's
standard template. Yeah,
yes, sir. It's visible
forget
now.
about the name and all thing. This is
Yes, sir,
my
sir. It's no.
standard template. Yeah, you can in the free version you can add to the first 9 ratios, 18 ratios more here. Yeah, I am a premium subscriber. I had premium of various sites because I extensively use the sites. That's why I have to have the premium version to get maximum benefit of those sites. Okay. So these are the standard ratios which I check before going into deep dive. Now I am in on presentation. Ankurji's presentation is visible now.
Yes, sir. It's clearly visible.
Yeah. Now after going to this screener.in, login कर लो, फिर go to these screens. After going to these screens, you can create a screen, create new screen. Yeah, here you can press and you can create. You can write here query. It will give you some guiding. Whatever you are typing, उसके बारे में information यहाँ पे देगा. And here is a detailed guideline on creating screen. You can go to that also, and you can use this feature for free also. Yeah, there is no need to subscribe for this using this feature. Say suppose I want list of companies whose PE ratio, price to earning ratio, is greater than 50. ठीक है, अगर मैं ऐसे क्यूरी टाइप करता हूं and if I run this query, I get a 1083 companies here. ठीक है, जिनका पी रेशियो is more than 50. If I sort this on the P ratio in ascending or descending order, see here, this company is having 22,185 as P ratio. This is 6,656 in sense valuation. Yeah, Geo Financials 6,413 P ratio. You can check like this. So coming back to presentation, here this query I created when I was discussing with one of my friend on Twitter. His Twitter handle is Wentworth, and this query is available in public domain. You can scroll through my uh, timeline on Twitter, and you will get this query there. Yeah, what I have taken here, current price is less than high price, means whatever its high price, current price is less than that, and current price is greater than high price into 0.08. matlab that current price is not more than 20% down than the high price. And why I have taken this, if suppose that stock is corrected more than 20% from its high, then there may be chances that there will be a further correction in that, in technical language. Then and EPS, use this word and while writing the query, so that this plus this plus this plus this condition will be satisfied. Now I have created here a bracket and or and then bracket close here. See this carefully. See, we had one session of Mr. Mulind Upasni, I think in last month. Yeah, from books to booking profit. that was available in our recorded sessions of ICI library. Yeah, you can just go to the website and go through that session. He used one term, can slim. Can slim में क्या क्या आता है? Sales is increasing, EPS is increasing, profit is increasing. Either quarter on quarter or year on year, 25% का increase है. Then that will qualify as a can slim. Go and Google search for can slim and check all the criterias. Out of that, I took one criteria here. Yeah, ultimately आपका प्रॉफिट बढ़ना है अगर आपका सेल्स बढ़ रहा है, या if suppose your operating net profit is more than operating profit, then go and check whether there is any extraordinary income. With the extraordinary income, your EPS will go high, but whether that extraordinary income will be in recurring nature, in more of the cases, no. So if operating profit is more than your if your net profit is more than your operating profit, then go and check whether there any extraordinary income. Then coming back to the query, EPS latest quarter is greater than EPS latest quarter. In current scenario, the latest quarter is December end. That is greater than EPS preceding quarter. EPS preceding quarter means December quarter के पहले वाला quarter. The previous quarter than the December quarter means September quarter into 1.25 means 125%, means 25% more than the preceding quarter. Means my latest quarter EPS, that should be, if suppose latest quarter preceding quarter EPS is 100 rupees, so my latest quarter EPS should be 125, and EPS of latest quarter is greater than EPS of preceding year quarter. Means for the current scenario, latest quarter is December 2023, EPS preceding year quarter means December 2023 quarter. So what this condition says, EPS latest quarter should be greater than EPS preceding quarter. December 23 quarter EPS should be 125% of September 25 quarter, and December 23 quarter EPS should be greater than December 2022 quarter. ठीक है? It is clear? Clear, Ankur ji? Until here, any
Yes,
question
sir.
is there? I should. Then, second condition, first bracket is over here. Then I used here or. First bracket is still open. Yeah, or EPS latest quarter means December 2023 quarter EPS that is greater than EPS preceding year quarter means December 2022 quarter into 1.25%, 1.25, मतलब current quarter का EPS December 23 quarter EPS should be more than 125% of December 22 quarter, and EPS of latest quarter is greater than EPS of preceding quarter. December 23 quarter EPS should be greater than September 22 quarter. Means here I can combine two conditions. My December 23 quarter EPS ये क्या होना चाहिए? Either it should be December 22 and September 23. This should be greater than December 22, or this should be greater than 1.25 of December 22. Okay. If this is greater than December 22, then simultaneously I should have at least December, it should be 125%. 125% means 1.25 times of September 25, 23 quarter. If December 22 क्वार्टर से करंट क्वार्टर का EPS 1.25x है, then simultaneously it should be more than 1x or more equal to or more than September 23 क्वार्टर. यहाँ पे कितना भी ज्यादा चलेगा मुझे, 1 है, 1.05 है, 1.25 है, कुछ भी चलेगा, मिनिमम 1 होना है. ठीक है. सो दिस इज अ कंबाइंड कंडीशन which we have to understand while we considering the canceling theory. Then I used here the condition current price is less than 25,000 to eliminate जो बहुत जिनका प्राइस बहुत ज्यादा है. See, from retail investors perspective, it is many times it is not possible. They do not dare to enter in a high priced stock. Nestle, earlier its price was more than 25,000 or more than 20,000. Now after split of share, वैल्यू सेम है बट प्राइस उसका कम हो गया है, 1:10 वो स्प्लिट हो गया. सो दैट 22,000 प्राइस बिकेम 2,200. अभी लोगों को क्या लगता है, हाँ चलो अभी मैं ये ले सकता हूँ. इसलिए पहले क्या हो गया था, 22,000 था जब, नहीं नहीं 22,000 का एक शेयर है, कौन ले. एंड दैट इज ट्रू. इफ सपोज one want invested 10,000 rupees in each share, then Nestle was out of his syllabus. Now after becoming Nestle 2000, he can at least buy 5 shares of Nestle. So current price is less than 25,000 and current price is greater than rupees 20. Why greater than rupees 20? To eliminate the lower value stock. ठीक है. And return on capital employed is greater than 15. जो हमने पहले बात की थी, ROC, ROE all should be at least more than 15. Here one condition, one more condition can be added. Average return on capital employed for 5 years, that is also greater than 15. Average return on 5 years average return on equity, that is greater than 15. One can add this condition also here. Price to earning is less than industry price to earning into 1.25. Means इंडस्ट्री का पी अगर 20 है तो प्लस 25% ऑफ दिस 20, मतलब कितना हो जा रहा है, 25 मेरा पी आएगा. इंडस्ट्री एवरेज इज 20, देन माय स्टॉक पी दैट शुड नॉट बी मोर देन 25. ठीक है, क्लियर है. देन pledge percent, we have discussed about this should be less than 30. and ये दोनों साथ में कभी भी देखना है. इंटरेस्ट कवरेज रेशियो इज ग्रेटर देन 5 and debt to equity ratio is less than 1. Then market capitalization is greater than 100, means greater than 100 crore. यहाँ पे जो भी ऐसे नंबर डाले हैं ना, इट 5 मीन्स 5x आएगा उसका, 1 मतलब 1 टाइम, 5 टाइम, 100 मीन्स Market capitalization is 100 means 100 crore. Promoter holding 50 means 50%. जब आप प्रैक्टिकली कंडीशंस इसमें डालोगे ना स्टेनर में क्यूरी बिल्डअप करते समय, वहां पे उसके एक्सप्लेनेशन आते जाएंगे, हम एक दो एग्जांपल देखेंगे उसके। प्रमोटर होल्डिंग इट शुड बी ग्रेटर देन 50%। प्रमोटर का स्किन उसमें अटका हुआ होगा तो ही प्रमोटर अपनी कंपनी के लिए काम करेगा, अदरवाइज दैट कंपनी शुड बी फुल्ली प्रोफेशनली मैनेज्ड। अगर प्रोफेशनली मैनेज भी नहीं है और प्रमोटर का पैसा भी नहीं है तो भगवान मालिक है वो कंपनी का। देन अनदर I had checking here FII holding, DII holding. If you read the Mark Minervi book, Mark Minervi ने इंस्टीट्यूशनल फेवरेट अगर कोई कंपनी है तो वहां पे वो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं। सो आई एम चेकिंग हियर FII holding is greater than 1 and change in FII holding is greater than 0. Holding downside नहीं आनी चाहिए, holding should be in upside. If suppose earlier they were holding 10,000 shares, now the share in current quarter should be more than 10,000. 10,100 होगा चलेगा, 10,001 होगा चलेगा, but it should not be less than 10,000 current quarter का holding. Or here I am using or. First bracket, this condition is completed here, bracket started here, bracket is closing here. DI holding greater than 1 and DI change in DI holding is greater than 0. So either DIR or FII holding, it should be greater than 1, either of them. अगर दोनों का है तो बहुत बढ़िया. If DI is there, FI is there and the holding is greater than 1, then that is very good. And change is also greater than 0, means they are not kicking off their stake. Now पेटीएम वगैरह जो अभी का एग्जांपल है, that is a altogether different story. या अगर हम फंडामेंटल अच्छा स्टडी करें तो पेटीएम का शेयर कभी लेने लायक था ही नहीं, और पेटीएम के डायरेक्टर्स ने बोला था कि we could have issued the IPO at more price, but we want to leave some value for investor. अभी पता चल गया इन्वेस्टर के लिए कितना वैल्यू रहा है. So this is the query. Now coming to this screener. See, if I want to enter that query here, जैसे मैं यहाँ पे promoter holding डालता हूँ. Yeah, it is clear now. The website is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You may continue.
Promoter holding. When I write here promoter holding, when I started writing here promoter, I got the options promoter holding, change in promoter holding, unpledged promoter holding, change in promoter holding 3 years, pledged percentage. So I selected the promoter holding that is greater than. Immediately add, when I written here promoter holding, I got a pop-up here in this box. Promoter holding, what is defines promoter holding as per latest shareholding filing value in percentage terms. So again, should I write here per 50%? If you write 50%, no harm. If you write only 50, then that is also okay. Here to build the query, we have to use and or either and or. या एंड ऑब्लिक और जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना उस हिसाब से. देन प्लेज परसेंटेज that should be less than. Pledge percentage, the value is in percentage term, that is less than 30. and market cap, market capitalization. Market capitalization is ये किस टर्म है? वैल्यू इन रुपीज करोड़. CR is for crore. Market capitalization is greater than 100 crore. So नैनो स्टॉक्स इसमें से हट जाएंगे. Likewise, you have to build the query जो ये पैरामीटर्स दिए हैं. If I run that query instead of writing the query, I had already written that query here and all the parameters defined here. So after running this query, we will get some results here. These companies are appearing here. Randomly, I am taking one example to understand the fundamentals. Now check the example of Tega industry. Now don't go and jump into Tega industry. Why I'm saying, if you see the chart, this share has run a lot. See, it is already 2x for me. This share is already 2x for me from this level. Yeah. नहीं तो बोलोगे घनश्याम ने बताया था एग्जाम्पल ले लो. अभी भी जूस रह सकता है इसमें, बट यू हैव टू. नाउ generally what I check on fundamental ground, these 9 metrics, these are common for everyone. Then you can define as per your choice, as per your requirement, the other ratios. Yeah. So what is here? P ratio is, I compare with industry P. So industry P is 48 and this companies, this, take this as an example for how to analyze. Yeah. Don't say that we are checking for Tega industry only. Yeah. This is a common example. This is in stock P is less than industry P. Then ROE, ROC, ROE, these are more than 15%. That is okay for me. ROIC is more than 15%. That is also okay for me. कंपनी का प्राइस 1186 है, whereas ग्राहम नंबर which I use as a intrinsic value, इससे ये current price is near about more than 3x but less than 4x. ठीक है. पेट्रोस की स्कोर is, it is at average level. 5 is average, more than 7 is good, and 9 is the best. 3-year back book value is not available, means company was not incorporated before 3 years. Industry price to book value is 5.48 and price to book value of the stock is 7.28. It is in times X. Current book value is 163. 163 into 7.28 comes to 1186, or 1186 divided by 163, that comes to 7.28. थोड़ा बहुत कंपनी डिविडेंड भी देता है. ओके. फेस वैल्यू 10 रुपीज का है. देर आर फर्दर चांसेस दैट द कंपनी में गो फॉर split from 10 to 5, 10 to 2 or 10 to 1. Sales growth 5 years is 17.2 years. Good number. Sales growth is trailing 12-month sales growth. That is 20.5. Interest coverage ratio is more than 5. Good enough. Debt to equity is less than 0.7. That is good. Market cap to sales 5.89, quite high. But okay, EV by EBITDA more than 10. That means the stock is overpriced. PEG ratio is less than 1. So अभी भी जूस बचा हुआ है. Promoter holding near about 75%. Pledge 0, good sign. Profit growth trailing 12 months is 38%. ROCE for 3 years is 22% and ROCE for the current year is 21.4%. Change in FII and DII. This is my own formula. You can create your own formulas also. Is 46%. EPS latest quarter is 7.13. EPS latest quarter is 7.13, whereas EPS previous quarter is 3.22. रिजल्ट्स आ गए कि इसका अभी का कैसे देखेंगे हम? वी कैन गो हियर क्वार्टर्स. सितंबर तक का रिजल्ट है, मींस व्हाट इज द लेटेस्ट क्वार्टर? दैट इज ऑफ सितंबर, नॉट ऑफ डिसम्बर. या कीप इट इन माइंड. So September quarter EPS was 7.13 and previous quarter was June quarter EPS was 3.22. This is my own created formula. EPS quarter on quarter 122% का jump है quarter on quarter EPS में. EPS previous year quarter that was 5.33. Current quarter was 7.13. Year on year quarterly EPS growth was 33.8%. This is EPS is trailing 12 months, means latest result is available is September 22. So September, June, March and December, those 4 quarters EPS is 29.3. March 23 EPS was 27.2. March 22 EPS was 17.6. 17.6 से 27, 27 से trailing 12 months 29.3. good growth. And EPS growth for last 3 years year on year basis, that is for 34% का EPS growth है. Now expected quarter EPS जो हम बात कर रहे थे ना, फ्यूचर का EPS कितना हो सकता है? 8.75. against that latest quarter EPS is 7.13. अगर EPS बढ़ेगा तो अल्टीमेटली प्राइस अर्निंग रेशियो वो कम होगा, प्रोवाइडेड दैट प्राइस इज इन सेम रेंज. या अगर प्राइस बढ़ता है और EPS बढ़ता है, PE अगर सेम है, सो यहाँ पे प्राइस इंक्रीज होगी. कोरिलेशन एक बार देख लेना प्राइस टू अर्निंग और इसका, उस पे से वो ध्यान में आ जाएगा. Expected quarter EPS, next quarter EPS is 8.73. Cash cycle huge, बहुत ज्यादा है. So the company का working capital cycle management is might be not proper, or the company is in Tega Industries leading manufacturer and distribution of specialized critical and recurring consumable products and for the global mineral beneficent milling and bulk industry. Globally, Tega Industries are second largest producer of polymer based mill liner. So वर्किंग कैपिटल साइकिल मैनेजमेंट कंपनी का बराबर नहीं है, इसलिए कैश साइकिल इज 244 डे. कैश साइकिल कैसे आएगा? अगर हम यहाँ पे रेशियोज में जाएंगे तो डेटर्स डेज, इन्वेंट्री डेज, debtors days plus inventory days minus days payable, that will come to cash conversion cycle. Debtors days 121 days hai, whereas inventory days are huge. more near about 200 days. तो इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो इसका बढ़ना चाहिए, तो इन्वेंट्री डेज कम होंगे. सो वो कैसे होगा कि कंपनी का जस्ट इन टाइम इन्वेंट्री अगर हो सका तो देन इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो बढ़ेगा. एंड वर्किंग कैपिटल डेज इज 162. आरओई कंपनी का 6% था, 3% डाउन हुआ, 10%, 12%, कोविड पीरियड 12%, next year 26%, then 19%, and again coming back for improvement. So going to the quick ratios again. Quarterly profit variance means quarter on quarter profit variance is 34%. EBITDA growth for 5 years, that is for 25.9%, up from down from 52-week high. Currently it is just 3.31%. High कितना है? 1227. Current price 1186. So you can scan the as per this, and operating profit margin trailing 12 months का 21.8%. So overall अगर हम ऐसा एनालाइज करेंगे तो अच्छा है. ठीक है. Not again, this is not an investment advice or trading advice. Do your due diligence. Take advice from your own research analyst, SEBI registered analyst. क्या डिस्क्लेमर, इसको बहुत पहले नियर अबाउट यहाँ पे आइडेंटिफाई किया था. ठीक है. एंड आफ्टर गिविंग दिस ब्रेकआउट, होल्डिंग दिस शेयर फ्रॉम दिस लेवल नियर अबाउट. ठीक है. फॉर मी इट इज नियर अबाउट 2x ऑलरेडी. सो गोइंग बैक टू द क्यूरी, इस हिसाब से आपको क्यूरी लिखना है और बनाना है. नाउ कम टू अनदर क्यूरी. टर्न अराउंड स्टोरी की बात की थी हमने. यस. टर्न अराउंड स्टोरी. हाउ कैन वी आइडेंटिफाई द कंपनी? जैसे हमने बात की थी, नेट प्रॉफिट इज ग्रेटर देन नेट प्रॉफिट लास्ट ईयर इंटू 2. मतलब लास्ट ईयर का जो नेट प्रॉफिट है उससे डबल का नेट प्रॉफिट मुझे अभी चाहिए. एंड नेट प्रॉफिट इज ग्रेटर देन 10 मीन्स नेट प्रॉफिट अगर हम यहाँ पे टाइप करते हैं, नेट प्रॉफिट, तो यहाँ पे ये क्या दे रहा है? हियर इट इज गिविंग द वैल्यू इज इन रुपीज करोड़. नेट प्रॉफिट मीन्स नेट प्रॉफिट ऑफ द कंपनी ड्यूरिंग द लास्ट 12 मंथ्स मीन्स ट्रेलिंग 12 मंथ्स का नेट प्रॉफिट. ठीक है. नेट प्रॉफिट लास्ट ईयर, व्हाट इज मीनिंग बाय दैट? नेट प्रॉफिट ऑफ लास्ट ईयर. नेट प्रॉफिट ऑफ लास्ट ईयर, इसके लिए अभी क्या हो जाएगा? लेटेस्ट ईयर एंड. व्हाट वाज द लेटेस्ट ईयर एंड? मार्च 2023. देन EV by EBITDA. What is EV EBITDA? Enterprise value divided by EBITDA ratio. ठीक है. That value is in times. And what is EV? Enterprise value. Enterprise value is the market capitalization plus debt minus cash and cash equivalents. That value is in crore. So what is EV by EBITDA? This enterprise value मतलब means market cap plus debt minus cash and cash equivalent divided by EBITDA is earning before interest, depreciation, and tax. Interest, depreciation, amortization, and tax. That is EBITDA. So, how to find out the turnaround stories? नेट प्रॉफिट मेरा बढ़ रहा है, नेट प्रॉफिट मेरा 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा चाहिए मुझे. आई नीड द नेट प्रॉफिट more than 10 crore. Net profit last year that was negative, and current year net profit means trailing 12 months net profit is becoming positive. EV by EBITDA that is greater than 0. Enterprise value divided by EBITDA that is greater than 0 means my business is coming in profit. Book value should not be negative. अगर book value negative है, if book value is negative, then is there any point to invest in that stock? You are not buying asset, you are buying the liability. So that's why book value should be greater than 0. And net profit margin, NPM, stands for net profit margin. That is value in percentage. Net profit margin is greater than net profit margin preceding quarter. This is the query. Now here I am written and I am not given any condition. If I run the query, then it will throw an error, unknown word, NPM preceding quarter and. मतलब यहाँ पे कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो गया है. There is some mistake here. So I have to remove this, and from here, from now if I run the query will give me results. If I further put a tick mark here, only companies with December 2023 results. If I put a tick mark here and I run the query, then the result is for only 9 companies. Hope you have written down the query. If not, then just check here again and note down. Net profit is greater than net profit last year into 2, and net profit is greater than 10, and net profit last year is less than 0, and EV by EBITDA is greater than 0, and book value is greater than 0, and NPM latest quarter is greater than MPM and net profit margin preceding quarter. ठीक है? Then these companies are coming. Go and check the fundamental. Go and check fundamental in detail. Then with the fundamental, one more thing you have to check while finding out the turnaround stories. Check all these parameters you have to check, which I have explained, which we have checked in the slide. Then check with the peers how the company is standing. Then check for the quarterly results, whether steady growth is there or not in quarterly revenue, quarterly operating profit. Then check whether interest cost is increasing or decreasing or it is at stable. Check why this, we have to check this. If the company is going for borrowing, if the company's borrowing has increased, then the interest cost will go up. If the interest cost is going down, then company has reduced its borrowing. If the depreciation is increasing, that means company has invested in something. Then go and drill down the balance sheet and check the PPE, property, plant and equipment schedule, where that increase has happened. It should not be in vehicles. नहीं तो पता चला कि डायरेक्टर्स ने महंगे महंगे कार ले लिए और उसकी वजह से PPE बढ़ गया है and depreciation has increased due to that, whereas there is no any additional capacity increase. So that is one red one red flag I observed in one company, trading company, and depreciation is going high. Just check the vehicles has gone on going up, book value of vehicles. Then further drill down, and then there was some point in notes that directors have acquired new cars as per the employment policy. Pathetic way. So check whether the profit before tax and net profit, whether that is increasing or not quarter on quarter. Check EPS is increasing or not. Here 63,000, here 56,000. Whether that other income is of normal or extraordinary, you can come to know from here. 56, 63, it is a normal, but they are recognizing on yearly basis, not on every quarter, December to December. Why? Need to check the financials in detail. Then if you check the profit and loss, year on year, sales is increasing, operating profit is increasing, operating profit margin, here it was extraordinary, but when the sales increased here, it is increasing again. So follow the basic rule of our costing. If fixed cost is at same level and your revenue is sales is increasing, sales minus variable cost is equal to contribution, contribution minus fixed cost is equal to profit. So sales per unit is increasing or total sales is increasing, per unit sales realization and per unit variable cost is same. In that case, your contribution will increase due to volume, increase in volume. And if your fixed cost is same, then it will translate into bottom line, net profit. So वो चेक करो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ है. This interest cost 180, 223, 235, depreciation 70, 81, 108 depreciation. Go and check the balance sheet whether this is due to PP increase in PPE. If yes, then go to notes. Here, go to the con call. Check the presentation. What the company is doing, whether management is expanding the capacity. यहाँ पे इसमें notes नहीं आ रहा है. If notes comes here, then you can read it. So this was the basic idea. Then coming back to presentation, this is the sample page. We have checked this live. Now, how to, now we have 10-15 minutes more. Yeah. Now combine technical with fundamentals. You can download, you can first check the technicals. You can build a one technical scanner. Whatever stock is coming in that scanner, you can check the fundamentals of that scanner. Or this scanner I built on chartinc.com, which is also free. You have to just make a login of yourself. Yeah. This is the link for that query. Yeah. Check for this link. You will get the readily built up scanner of this query on charting. What is the basic theme behind this? Weekly 7 moving average crossing above weekly 20 moving average. I am using here simple moving average because I want to play for long term. If you are a short term player, then you can, instead of simple moving average, you can use exponential moving average. What are the entry criteria here? If weekly moving average 7 is crossing above, crossing above means suppose uh, this is your 20 moving average. Okay, this is your 20 weekly moving average. I am using simple moving average, and say this is your weekly 7 weekly moving average. So this is crossing from downside, crossing above the 20 weekly moving average. That trigger my entry point. Then current price should be greater than 200 daily moving average. See, it is 2045. We have to wrap up fast. Yeah. DMA is daily moving average. Price should be greater than 200 daily moving average, and price should be greater than 50. I don't want the penny stock here. One can keep this price about 2025 also. Then volume on entry date, that should be 2x of average 14 days simple moving average volume. मतलब there should be a spurt in volume बड़ा होना चाहिए. Monthly RSI, that should be greater than daily RSI. RSI, relative strength index. Yeah, monthly should be greater than daily RSI, and 20 or 50 days relative strength of that stock, that should be greater than 0. Means what was the price before 20 days or 55 days, and what is the price at current. The current price should be greater than 20 days price, either 20 day above what was the price before 20 day, or what was the price before 55 day. So either ये दोनों में से एक से current price should be greater than this. Okay, clear है? Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
And what should be my stop loss? एंट्री कोई भी कर लेगा, बाह एग्जिट कैसे लेना है, दैट इज ऑल्सो वन इंपॉर्टेंट क्राइटेरिया. स्टॉप लॉस शुड बी sorry higher of 20-day moving average of entry date. On what day you are entering in? Yeah, what is the 20-day moving average of that day, or 10% from the entry price. दोनों में से जो higher है, that should be your stop loss. When to exit? Any one of the following condition. If suppose the RSI has gone up, if suppose this is the RSI, yeah, RSI band, you know, it move between 0 to 100, and some people plot between here 30 and 70. 70 के ऊपर अगर RSI गया तो हम क्या बोलते हैं? It is gone into overbought. There is nothing overbought and oversold. Yeah, overbought can remain overbought. Maximum it can go to 100. That is a price band. If suppose this RSI has gone to 75 and then coming down and crossing down to this 70 level, in that case either book partial profit here, or you can decide whether to exit or continue in that. Second exit point, if suppose the stock is making lower lows, this is a candle, yeah, then this is a candle, This is the sorry. This is one candle. This is second candle, and this is the third candle. This open is less than this close. This open is less than this close. This is also called three black crow pattern in candlestick. If that pattern is forming, then I will take exit from it, or if my stop loss triggered, either stop loss or trailing stop loss. If that is triggered, then I have to take the exit from that stock. So trailing stop loss may be shifted to 20 or 10 daily moving average as per risk appetite after stock crosses 20% profit level. Means if suppose you have entered at 200 rupees at price of 200 and the stock has gone up by 20%, then you can shift your stop loss to trailing stop loss, and that trailing stop loss that may be either 20 daily moving average or 10 daily moving average. Yeah, according to you can take the decision. This is the scanner, and while building the scanner, main contribution goes to my friend CA Amit Kulecha. This scanner is tribute to him. If you want to listen him, check on our library recording 1st April 2023. There was a session, my session and Amit Gulecha's session there. He was a very good speaker. I still feel he is with us. Psychologically बहुत अच्छा बात करता था, and he was a good trader. आज भी easy निकलता है, was नहीं आता है उसके से. On chatting.com, you can create a login and you can create the scanner. Stock passes all the following filters in. Either keep here watch list, create your watch list, make it live watch list, say it yes, and build your watch list, your universe of watch list, and then run this scanner on this. Or you can run this scanner on, instead of watch list, you can choose here Nifty 500 or Nifty 200 segment according to your choice, or you can choose cash segment here. Then condition, how to build the condition. This button you are seeing here, green button, click on that, then choose SMA, close 7, then convert it to weekly, here convert it to weekly SMA 7, crossed above, weekly SMA, close 20, means what we have seen, 7 SMA crossing above, from the down crossing above 20 SMA. That is first condition. Then daily close greater than number 50, daily close greater than daily SMA, daily close 200, means आपका big daddy support, which we call 200 SMA as big daddy support. So your price is above 200 SMA, your price is crossing on weekly basis, 7 week simple moving average is crossing above 20 week moving simple average, daily volume is greater than daily simple moving average of volume. It is not a close, it is a volume. Many person make mistake here. Yeah, SMA डालते ही यहाँ पे close आ जाता है. You have to deliberately change this here from close to volume. What is your 14 days average simple moving average volume into 2 or into 1.5, and daily MACD histogram that is greater than 0. Why? Because when MACD histogram becomes 0, when MACD line crosses the crossed above the MACD signal line, at that time MACD histogram becomes 0. That's why that is a buying signal for me. Then monthly RSI that should be greater than daily RSI. Yeah, you can add one more condition here in this. Daily RSI should here instead of greater than, daily RSI less than 75, number 75, 2055. Okay. And stock passes any, here any of the condition below in cash segment. Here also I have to take cash segment. Then backtest, sorry, bracket daily close minus 55-day ago close divided by 55-day ago close into number 100. That means this formula is giving me difference in percentage between current close and 55 days above close in percentage term, and that should be greater than 0. Same with 20-day ago close. Yeah. So current price, either of these condition, if that is satisfied, then that stock will come in my scanner and I will go and check for the fundamentals which we have discussed earlier, and then I will plan my entry if with the technical the fundamentals are supporting. Now we are in time. The forum is open for question and answer.
Yeah, sure, sir. First of all, thank you for the great insight, sir. It was such a deep dive session into the technical and fundamental prospects of the market. So, uh, so there are few questions in line.
Yeah.
So the first question is from Mr. Sumit Jain, that what if, sir, retail holding is highest in a company?
Retail holding should not be more than 50% in any company. If retail holding is higher and the company is not managed by professionals, then there might be chances that promoter is taking step by step exit from that company, and if the fundamentals does not support, if the sales is not increasing, profit is not increasing, then keep away from that company. Protect your capital first. पहले अपना पैसा बचाओ, बाद में प्रॉफिट बनाओ. Next.
Yeah. The there is one question. It's related to the kind of a trading segment, like short-term swing trading or a momentum trading strategy works best during the bull market. But how can it be helpful? How a technical analysis can be helpful during consolidation or the bear market if we are planning to make a swing trade or a momentum trade once in a while?
See, in bear market, you find if you are a long player, then find the strong stock and go long in that. Yeah. If you are a short player, मतलब आप मंदी करके पैसे कमाने
मंदी
वाले
करके.
हो, then check the which sector is weak. From that sector, find out which stock is weak. See, I am not a शॉर्ट सेलर या मुझे शॉर्ट करके पैसा कमाने की अभी तक महारत नहीं है. आई एम नॉट परफेक्ट एट दैट बिकॉज इट नीड्स लॉट ऑफ गट्स एंड डेयरिंग. या तेजी करके पैसा कमाना मेरे लिए आसान है, बट शॉर्ट करके जो पैसा कमा सकता है, दैट ही इज अ रियल ट्रेडर एंड ही मेक्स much more money faster than the person who makes money from long. Just do opposite from when you are going long. Build a scanner exactly opposite. Yeah, if you are building a scanner for long, put it in inverse way for doing short. Then you may find the stocks for short selling. किसको short करना है? Find out the sector which is the weakest sector on that day, and from that sector which is the weakest stock. उसको जाके ठोक दो, short करो. अमित भाई वैसे ही करता था.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Sir, there's one question from Maulik Sinazala, that how to find a multi-bagger stock using the technical analysis, or what aspects you can look if you are kind of need to find a stock that can outperform numerously. So what uh, limited aspects that you will see, yeah, that these are the major points that I have to look upon, and if all those points are triggered, then I will make a fresh entry into that stock, and it can be a multi-bagger too.
See, turnaround story we have checked. Yeah, we have checked the previous query. From that you can find the strong stock. Along with that, कुछ और बातें मैंने बताई थी, ये चेक
Yes, sir.
करना है. Check the con call. What will be the future of that company? See, multi-bagger you can't identify right now.
Right now, correct.
It will become over
What
a
point of time.
period of time. Yeah, ऐसे नहीं है. It's just like a bamboo tree. Bamboo tree पहले 4 साल में बढ़ता नहीं है, फिर 5th ईयर में एकदम ग्रोथ होती है. Reliance consolidated for 10 years, and once it has given a spark, 900 to 2000, 2100, 2400, then again consolidated in that range, and again given a breakout and range.
2900.
So for finding the multi-bagger, you have to patience. You need to study the numbers, mainly the fundamentals. Check the credit ratings. क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसी जब उसका क्रेडिट रेटिंग देते हैं, वहां पे वो काफी सारे उसके फ्यूचर के बारे में वगैरह लिखते हैं.
बताता है.
यस, दीज आर सम क्लू पॉइंट्स. चेक द टेलविंड्स. गवर्नमेंट क्या बोल रही है, किस सेक्टर को ज्यादा कैपेक्स अलोकेट हो रहा है. वो सेक्टर तो ग्रो करना ही है, उसमें कि कौन अच्छे है, किसका ऑर्डर फ्लो ज्यादा है, ऑर्डर्स इन हैंड कौन कौन से पता चलेगा. previous year ka what was the orders in hand previous year or in previous quarter, and how much was the execution, how much was new order grabbed in this quarter, and what is the closing order. If you have orders on hand more than your 1 year's turnover, or in some cases it goes up to 3 years, 4 years turnover, that will become a multi-bagger. Probability is high. There is no guarantee in stock market. It will go exactly.
Yeah, but depends upon the company
The
execution,
probability,
how they execute.
yeah, again, you have to check all the fundamental parameters. You have
Fundamental
to check the
prospects.
management integrity and all these things. Hope I had answered the question properly.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. So that's it from the question and answers block, sir.
Okay.
And
Then
it was,
coming to the last slide, I hope that whatever I delivered today, that will add value to your knowledge. And I would like to thank you, the Committee of Financial Market and Investor Protection of ICAI, for giving me the opportunity. I would like to thank you, all the panelists, the technical team, the moderator, and all the audience, listener. Thank you all.
yeah.
See you again तब तक माँ लक्ष्मी और माँ सरस्वती की कृपा हम सब पर बनी रहे. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was lovely listening to you and getting such insights regarding the technical analysis mixed with a blend of fundamental analysis as well. So it was a great learning session for me as well, and I hope and I'm quite guaranteed that for others also it is a great session to something look upon. So thank you so much, sir. Yeah, thank you for
Thank
today.
you. Thank you.